All right. Welcome everybody to actually I think this is the first Go Talks of 2021. I've been
Really?
off. Yeah, I've been off for a minute. I've been kind of busy with a bunch of other stuff that will materialize later. But yeah, I got to give credit to the amazing guitar playing and the awful singing on our intro. For those that don't know, the male singer on that track is the one and only our guest today, Alfred Duncan, aka Black Bull. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. That took me back, man. I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that in a very long time, though. It's been a
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I need like 10 seconds of of go go, but like forward thinking go go that doesn't have a lot of vocals and stuff on it. And I was like, oh well, shit. I kind of remember a song I was slightly involved in that,
yeah.
or this is technically an intro, but close enough. I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out why our names aren't coming up. Like you should see
Uh-oh.
names.
I know you run a tight ship. I know you pissed. You about to. I know
I'm
you
here.
pissed over there. You sweating right now.
Nah, it's honestly it's not really that big of a deal. Everybody knows who you are. I would assume that most people, know who I am by now, having watched, however 80 of these that I've done so far. So
You
I'm
got.
not gonna about that. Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
something like that.
That's dope.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate you coming on. You know what I'm saying? Good to talk to you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it had to happen. It definitely had to happen. I know you reached out to me before, and it was just too much going on, and so I'm glad that it happened though. You know, it always feels good to rap.
Likewise, likewise. Real quick, everybody that's on Instagram, appreciate y'all joining. Do me a favor, head on over to youtube.com. What's up, Billy Ray? Head over to youtube.com/Gogotalx. You'll see, my much more handsome counterpart for this interview today. He got his like neo soul Anthony Hamilton vibes going on today. You know what I'm saying? So I thought I was cool with my gold frame glasses and shit, and of course Black had his shit on me with a better hat and a better pair of glasses. So
Yeah, you got a better couch. Your back is dope.
and a fabulous
Yeah,
fake plant courtesy of my wife.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That
So
plan is awesome. It's fake.
it's fake, yeah. It's fake.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would not, dude. If it was real, that shit would be black right
you
now.
should just make people think it's real. You shouldn't say it's fake because it looks real.
All right, well, okay, well, everybody, it's real. According to Black Bull, it's a real plant. So thank you for that. So yeah, man, thanks again for joining. So I guess we'll start this off the same way that I start all of them off, which is tell us how you got started in music, and I know you were in, if I'm not mistaken, you were in music before you got into go-go, so you can go through that whole thing. The crux of the conversation here is, as I'm sure you would suspect, trying to connect the dots between how things work in the go-go industry versus how things work in the greater music industry. And so therefore I try to bring in people that have experience in both sides, so we can compare and contrast the differences.
Okay.
So feel free to speak about anything that you've done non-go-go related, as part of the story, and take as long as you like.
Okay. All right. So when I was young, uh I had a crazy, like, my voice was very um it was high pitched. And so I had a cousin
We're
who
young. It's still high pitched.
well, no, it got deeper. It got deeper.
I
But when
got
I was young, it was real, it was real high pitched to a point where some people thought, that I was a lady. I can, act like a lady and they'll fall for it.
I never knew that shit.
Yeah, man. So I had a cousin who played the keyboard and he also played the congos and he rapped and he was just a big go-go fan. And my sister was a go-go fan too, but me not so much. I was into like just singing, right? So my cousin used to always encourage me to sing, and like at family functions and everywhere, anytime he would ask me to sing or tell me to sing or force me to sing. And so I fell in love with music through singing. And so that led to other things. For instance, I had a singing group in my community. I was probably in the 6th grade, and we would go around and sing happy birthday to some of the girls in the community and their parents, and we had dance steps.
Wait, so you only sang happy birthday to the girls though, like nobody else, just the girls?
Yeah, it was the girls and it was their mother. Like we did a couple of mothers and we did a couple of girls. And we had a dance routine. My sister used to help us with the chorus.
Anybody just joining that just heard him say they did a couple of mothers and did a couple of girls. He's talking about singing happy birthday to them, just in case you came in on the tail end of that comment.
Right. So we used to sing happy birthday to them. And so that just that let me know that I had talent because I was the lead vocalist in the singing group. Okay. And so also my uncle, he was the keyboard player, well, the music director for a church that I went to in Virginia called Macedonia Baptist Church. And, I was still shy about my singing, but I would go to church every Sunday. So one time my mother, she wanted me to join the choir, but I never would because I was shy. So one day she told me that they were doing auditions for acting. And so I went there to go for acting, but then I walk in the door and it's the choir called the Bells of Joy with my uncle on the keyboard. So I tried to walk back out and he stopped me.
You up.
Yeah. He stopped me and said, come on. And then he brought me to the front and then he made me sing a solo that day. So that's when I really started falling in love with, I guess, singing and being parts of groups and things of that nature.
Okay, so wait a minute. I got to slow you down a little bit.
Okay.
So where were you living at this time? Where did you grow up?
I was living in Prince George's County. I was living in Suitland.
So if you're living in Suitland, why were you going to church in Virginia?
So look, for everybody, a lot of people don't really like the term DMV, and they always want to say, I'm a real DC dude, or now PG is getting a whole bunch of pride with themselves. Well, I'm a real DMV dude. Meaning I was born at Washington Hospital Center. I lived in DC in Southeast till I was 6 years old. And then I moved to PG and I never really left PG. However, my mother's side of the family is from Arlington, Virginia, and my father's side of the family is from DC. So every weekend I would go to either Virginia or I would go to DC, to spend time with my family. So every Sunday I would go to church in Virginia. Over my grandmother's house. So that's how I ended up in a choir in Virginia. And so I joined the choir. We did some amazing stuff there, but then it grew bigger because the choir was really talented. So we turned into the NAACP choir. It was called the Images of Unity, and we were traveling, the nation, singing songs.
What was the first name again? What was the name?
Images of Unity.
No, what was the name before that? You said the other name. I forgot.
No, it was an NAACP choir.
Oh, I thought you said there was a name for it when he first had you, when your mom said
yeah, it was called Bells of Joy.
Bells of Joy, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, Bells of Joy was the church choir, but then it just started getting big, and so we started taking people from other churches and bringing them into the choir, and so then this turned into the Images of Unity, and that was a traveling choir. So I traveled with them. They had and I used to do songs with them as well, but I thought I could sing, but then one time Tank came to I felt like I was the man at one point, and then Tank came to an audition, and man, he crushed my soul, man. He crushed my soul, yeah.
That's hilarious.
That was my love. However, in high school, I was a part of the go-go band there. I used to sing different songs at talent shows and stuff like that.
Wait, part of which go-go band? Like this high school?
It was just a high school go-go band.
Gotcha. And was there a name or no?
There wasn't a name for it, but I used to. So I'm telling you, this is gonna be all over the place because once
that's fine. That's fine. I don't do the quick in and out, short interviews. This is I'm Joe Rogan in this,
All right, cool.
The whole story. So
all right, cool. I forget. Like now that I talk about it, I'm going to remember different parts of it, right? So the band in high school, it was just a high school band. We didn't really have a name, you know. However, I used to play boys and girls club because I was really into sports. I used to play with District Heights Recreation Center, and like that was my neighborhood. That was the crew that I hung around, and we came up with a band, and it was called Little Rascals. You know, yeah, Little Rascals.
How old were you at this time?
I think I was in middle school. Yeah, I think I was in middle school when this started happening. And so if anybody, I know all of the go-go heads, like y'all know the gas station crew. So the gas station crew, before they became the gas station crew, we was the Little Rascals. You know what I'm saying? We was just a whole bunch of youngins who loved sports. You know, I guess once they got older, you know, they started going to go-go's and doing different things. But once it started getting like rowdy, I kind of backed away from it. But Little Rascals was the band that District Heights had.
Okay.
And then that band turned into a band called Reaction.
Not the Reaction that's there now, but
no, it was Reaction. We had now Reaction was dope. I can't fake. Little Rascals was good, but Reaction, if we stuck with it, we really would have made, you know, an impact in the industry. But you know, it's just so hard to keep it together. It's so hard to get people to help you, you know, to move along, especially when you're young. So you know, and people started going their different ways because you know they had different desires and things of that nature. So that was Little Rascals. Now I'm in college. Now that's high school.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I was about to say you jumped from middle school to college. You just
middle school, it was the Little Rascals, right? Then I got into high school, and then it became the Reaction.
Reaction. Okay, all right.
Right.
So that lasted through the whole high school was Reaction.
That lasted through a good amount of the high school. You know, it didn't last the whole time, but it lasted a good amount of the high school. And so once I left there, I went to college to play basketball. And while I was there, you know, because I was a singer and a rapper in these different bands that I'm talking about. Like I would sing all of the cover songs, and I played high school. Cause see, that's what I'm saying. I'm all over the place. I played high school ball at Forestville, and we would travel to you know to different venues to play, and we would be singing JYB with all my heart on the bus. Like our coach,
Anita Baker,
would encourage us to do it after a win. So we'll crank the whole way home. So you know who was singing the part. It was always me. You know what I'm saying?
You had the high voice.
Yeah. I used to hit them notes back then. And so
I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess what made that impossible moving forward. But before I do that, Hassan Phillips has a question. Was the gas station crew from Maryland or DC?
Gas station crew was from Maryland.
From Maryland. Okay.
Gas station crew is from District Heights, the District Heights area.
Gotcha. Okay.
It was the gas station crew that was in the go-go's talking about, you know, I smell gas and all of that. That was gas station crew.
Yeah, I got it. I remember hearing it on tape all the time. Yeah, 100%. So I'm guessing that you probably stopped being able to hit the high notes once you started smoking.
Right. So I go to college. So now I go to college and I'm playing ball, but I'm smoking during off season. You know what I'm saying? I'm smoking weed, and then I'm smoking like Black and Miles because I went to a conservative school where most of the we was like 2 to 3% Black. You know what I'm saying? All of the Black people was on the basketball team. And so during those like off season, I was bored and I guess I didn't have the discipline. So, you know, I would do certain things that in hindsight, they definitely damaged my talent. So while I was there,
I want to stick on that for 1 second though, because this is important. Like the goal is to try to, I mean, I don't know if there's a whole lot of young people watching this now, but hopefully there will be young people watching it later that, you know, speak to sort of how decisions that you make early in your life that really, I mean, not to get too preachy and parenty or anything, but like decisions that you think are just, oh, I'm just having fun. I'm just hanging, like how they really can sort of affect, you know, what happens later on.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of my biggest regrets because, you know, I really had a passion for singing. And I can still sing. I just can't sing like I used to sing. I can't sing the way that I want to sing, you
Right.
know. And so, looking back, of course, I wish that I had. Well, I wish I had someone in my ear more so than, you know, I wish I had the discipline too, but I think the discipline would have came if I had someone in my ear or someone that was showing me, that was constantly there to show me the direction to go versus me kind of doing it on my own and then following my peers. Because a lot of the reason why, because I didn't smoke all the way up to college. All the way up to college, I was like, nah, dog, I'm an athlete. You know what I'm saying? I'm this, I'm that. So I never smoked. I didn't smoke weed until I got to college, and I had a whole bunch of friends that was smoking weed, but I didn't smoke nothing. I used to always be, hang my hat on the me being talented and me being a athlete.
So
So
what changed? Why did you break in college? Because presumably you were still playing sports and still singing, right? So why?
well, I wasn't singing too much. Once again,
Uh,
it's a conservative school, and I just went there for basketball. I didn't go there for concert for like singing, for opera, classical, or nothing like that.
mhm.
And so I think I just did it out of sheer boredom. Like I said, it wasn't a huge school. The circle was the basketball team and some of the baseball team. Like we had a very small circle because it was a predominantly white college, and it only had like 2 to 3% blacks, and most of the blacks played sports, so we kind of kept to ourselves. But within that circle, a great majority of them smoked. And
Gotcha.
so, I would pass time by going out and smoking with them. And then it became a habit. It became something that kind of hooked me.
Right.
So I mean that's basically how that went.
Gotcha. So would you say you became addicted, or it just became a habit because like
Um,
because the argument is that marijuana is not addictive. I don't know. I never smoked, so I have no frame of reference.
well, marijuana was just one. Like I also used to smoke Capones. I mean not Capones, but Black and Miles.
Gotcha.
So I think the addictive part was more so the Black and Miles because like even now, right? I don't smoke. I don't smoke. Like weed makes me feel a certain way. I don't like not being in control. Like I can take I just don't like being not in control. I hate being stuck and looking stuck and all that. So weed, I cut that out, a while ago.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, but
That's my reason for not drinking or smoking is because as you well know, I'm a bit of a control freak, and I don't like being out of control. I don't like that shit at all. So yeah, I feel you on that.
So yeah, I mean, yeah. So I would say, the weed was a habit, but the Black and Miles became like, addictive. Addictive in the sense of, how people smoke after they get finished eating or when they get finished, like certain triggers,
Yep.
So because I was so bored in the off season, like these triggers, like it was nothing else to do but study and do that. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah, that's what happened.
Gotcha. All right. So you're in college. You started smoking. You became a drug addict. No, I'm just kidding. So you started smoking. But you're still playing ball, right?
Yeah, I'm still playing ball. Yeah.
And not really. But the music is kind of not really happening because there's nothing really to do.
Well, this is the interesting part. So when I was in college, I met a friend that was from Baltimore, and he was a rapper,
Mhm.
right? And now up to this point, I was doing go-go rapping, meaning that I was rapping other people's stuff. I wrote my songs every now and then, but most of the time I was rapping other people's lyrics. So one day,
So wait, were you? Because I thought you were just singing in the band. So you were
I
rapping in the
was
band.
singing and rapping. I was singing and rapping in every band that I was in.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I had the natural, the naturalness of rapping,
Right.
but I had the voice for singing too. So I did both. Um,
Gotcha. Okay.
so this guy was from Baltimore. His name is Ahmed Childs. And Baltimore at that point in time, they ain't really messing with go-go.
Yeah.
So he came to me one day, and he was a rapper, and he's a legitimate rapper, like one of the best rappers I know. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see.
All right, my joint kind of frozen. But he's kind of like, one of the best rappers that I know, right? And so he challenged me. He said, "Hey, yo, won't you instead of rapping everybody else shit, won't you write your own raps?" And he said, "You can't do it." He was like, "You too stuck in that go-go shit or blah blah blah." And so I said, "I bet." And so I
So he
stayed.
challenged you. He challenged you.
He challenged me, and so I stayed in my room and I wrote a rap, and that joint was probably like 120 bars. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I stepped up to the challenge, and then I started rapping to him, and he was like, "Yo," he was like, "You gotta keep going." You know what I'm saying? You gotta keep going. So I just started rapping then, and then me, him, and another guy that I met when I came home for spring break. His name's Rob. We created a group called The Diff. And it was Rob was from Virginia. I was from quote unquote DC, and Ahmed was from Baltimore. So it was kind of like the DMV thing.
Right.
So also when I went home for summer, I moved into a new neighborhood, and then when I met Rob, I was asking Rob. Rob lived upstairs from me. And so he was saying that, he got this producer or whatever. And I was like, okay. He was like, well, I'm going to take you over there. And so I said, okay, cool. So he took me to the house. And when he took me to the house, it was Hug and Mo, from Northeast Groovers. Yep. Now, I've been a Northeast Groovers fan. Like, that was my favorite band. Like, I just thought that they were so dope. I didn't know them, but when I went there, I was just like in awe, like, oh shit, this is Mo and Hug, and so Mo started.
Everyone that doesn't know, Mo is Maestro.
Maestro, yeah. So Mo started producing for The Diff. Okay. And so, now I know that he lives in the neighborhood, so I'm spending a whole bunch of time with him. And then we become, very close friends, me, him, and Hug. And so I would go to Go-Go's with them and stuff like that. And our relationship grew so much that, after college, because during college, this is all that I was doing. I was, rapping and, coming home and going to Go-Go's and stuff like that. But after college, me, Mo, and Hug decided to rent a house together. So we rented a house together, and
BJ. Sorry, go ahead, BJ.
And when we rented a house together, we built a studio in the basement. And then we created this, like, I wouldn't say we created it, but it just turned into a huge musical family. Like, like when I tell you that house was crazy, like it was crazy. Like I would
and Gigi and all them.
And I would come home from work and it'll be like 20 cars stuck on the hill, of the house. There's no way that these cars are supposed to be able to fit in this place, but it's 20 cars there. I'll go in the house and, mind you, this is the house that I stay at. These other people are visiting, but I live here. I got a room and everything, but I go in the house and it's like 25 people in there, like all the time. And I'm the only one that's working a 9 to 5. Like I got to get up and go to the job at 7,
So wait a minute. So you were done with college at this point, or you were still at college at this point?
I was done. I was done with college when we moved together.
Okay, so you had already graduated. Okay, and then so where were you working at this time?
I was working at 2 locations. Well, I worked at 2 local. So when I left college, I started working for IBM Global Services. Mm-hmm. So what that was I would travel to a different state, and do the work from Monday through Thursday. Then they'll fly me back home, and then I'll do it over again or whatever. I wanted to be on the radio, so I kind of let that job go, and then I came home and I volunteered for PGC. And as for KYS.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought you were at KYS.
Yeah, for KYS, and I worked myself up to a promotion assistant. And they started paying me and everything. Like I wrote up a contract, like all of that. Like they said it couldn't be done, but I put in some major work to where they was like, "Yo, you're valuable, so we gonna pay you." And it wasn't a lot, but they paid me. They gave me benefits and all of that. So I was working at KYS. That's when me, Mo, and Hug lived in the house together. That's when we first moved to the house together. Mm-hmm. So I would go to work and I would come home and it'll be like 30 people at the house, and like I said, it was constant. So it wasn't like I could, like when I went to sleep, it just went from 30 people to 15 people. You know what I'm saying? And I woke up and it's, 7 people, it was a revolving door, but it was a family. We took care of each other. I met a lot of interesting people there. That's one thing about that whole family dynamic is that people weren't the same. It was just so many different type of people there. You know what I'm saying? And
You met some random ginger white dude there, if I'm not mistaken.
man, it was you come through? You came through. You was there a couple of times, right?
I was more than a couple times. Yeah, I was there a lot. Yeah.
Man, so the house was just amazing, man. So and I think that's how I met you. I met you through Northeast Groovers.
Yep.
And so one time I remember too, I don't know if you remember this. I don't even know if you was with Northeast during this time, but when Dave left.
By the time I got there, Dave was already gone. So
all right, but when Dave
left, like the very end of '99, I think. Yeah, Dave was already gone.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back some. Remember I told you I work for IBM Global Services. Well, they sent me an offer letter as soon as I got out of college. However, Dave had left Northeast Groovers, and so this is my favorite band. So I'm like, yo, I want what's up. They like, yo, you can audition. So I go to Kyrie's house. You know what I'm saying? I sit in front of all the Northeast and Miss Pratt sitting there. They made me sing and they made me rap. You know what I'm saying? And I did it, and I thought I had the gig. I really don't know if I had it or not, because on the way home, I was talking to Mo and Hug and them, and Mo and Hug, and they was basically like, yo, you shouldn't turn down no IBM, you know what I'm saying, situation to come with Northeast Groovers. So I kind of took myself out of the runnings in that. But that situation did happen. That was the first time I met Miss Pratt. I was nervous as hell because I was so nervous, dog. I was so nervous. But yeah,
I think my nervous story beats yours though, bro. I auditioned for Northeast Groovers on stage at the fucking Icebox.
Oh yeah,
on stage at a show.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah,
quick question, real quick. Victorious wants to know who would be over the house when it was 20, 30 deep. Was it Go Legends or was it just who was it? I mean, I assume you're talking about like Mousy and Gigi and all.
I'm talking about Mousy, Gigi, Breon, Bree. It was in this rap group called The Diff. It was like this dude named Sparks, Panama. Like some of these people that probably don't know. Charles Dyson. He's the
Charles and Mousy.
Yeah. And Mousy as well. It was Los. Northeast would come past. Like for real, you don't know. I know that there were always like certain people who I knew would be there or would come through, but you never knew who would come through. Like we had, what's the girl from Murder Inc? Kima.
Carlos' wife. Carlos' wife.
But her sister would come through. Her sister came through. She was Vita. Vita's her name.
Yeah.
Through. It was just, man, it was just so many people. I can't tell you how many people we run into, because like I said, we had so many different, it was different levels. So it was the broke dudes who was just cool or whatever, but then it was the dudes with the money and the dudes who were around like national artists and stuff like that. Somehow, some way, everybody just got along and everybody felt comfortable. So, the dudes that had the money would bring money dudes through and just, like, hey, look, we having a cookout. This is my family. Come on through. The money dudes would come through. It'd be like it was nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that was a very unique and special situation.
Nice. Want to shout out my man Gil, who was there from the beginning of Mambo Sauce. Thanks for joining, bro. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
All right. So that's when me and Mo moved together. Me, Mo, and Hug moved together. And while we were living together, certain opportunities presented itself. For instance, y'all were doing the album, and I was supposed to write the rap for Rapper, right? And so I write the rap for Rapper, and then I go in the studio, and I'm telling him, I'm trying to give him the cadence and all of that type of stuff. And he just looks at me and say, "Yo, go do it." And I'm like, what? He was like, just go in the booth and do it. And I'm like, For real? He was like, yeah, just go do it.
Mhm.
I go in the booth and I just start spitting. And I think it was Sweet Town. Sweet Town was the song that I did.
On the On Fire album. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's how I got on the album. The niggas just said, look, go do it. I don't know if he didn't want to spit my rap. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he just wanted me to be on it, but he just looked at me straight in my eyes and was like, yo, go do it. And so I went in the booth and did it. And then, that relationship kind of helped me to, like, he would call me on stage all the time to rap. He would say, like, they had this little joint called I forgot the name of the joint, but he'd be like Boo said, and then y'all play this groove, that always excites me. Yeah, so that was that. And then after that, I started a group called DC. Well, I started, creating raps just solo. The diff started fizzing out a little. We were still working, but we started fizzing out. But I started to do something solo, and then
wait, real quick. What happened with the diff? Why did y'all start?
I mean, it was just, it was just the. It's very difficult to people. I'm sure it's very difficult to make it in this industry. And then on top of that, it's very difficult to make it in this industry with people. You know what I'm saying? Because everyone has different agendas. Everyone has different, situations. And I think that is that's the biggest thing throughout this whole conversation is that people had different situations and things that I can't really knock them for. It was just they had situations, they saw it this way. In hindsight, they may have chose differently, but during that time, they thought that they were choosing the correct thing for their lives. So, during that time, I couldn't be mad. When I was with the diff and I was working at KYS, there were many opportunities that came my way. And I regret not taking them, because a lot of opportunities were for me to go solo. I had opportunities for me to go solo. I had an opportunity for me to go to St. Louis and be a co-host on a morning show. Yeah, with Craig Black. I had it was supposed to be called The Blackout. He went and did it, but I chose not to do it because I had loyalty to the people. Loyalty. Now that I look back on it, like I should have, just taken the opportunity and brought them along once I was established. I had people that came down like from the money people who they bring to the house and they was like, yo, I want to sign you, or yo, I want, let's bring them to New York and do this. So it's a couple of times I went to New York and wrote for some people. I wrote for these girls that Jaheim had. It was the girl, I forgot Don't Hate on Us with Fabulous. That song, the girl that's singing in the background, her name is Yummy. I wrote a song for her. Well, not a song, but a part of a song for her. Like all of these different opportunities came and people were trying to get me to go with them, but I decided not to. And that's some of the biggest regrets that, I had because, my love and my talent for music, it could have taken me to certain places that I decided not to go because I was worried about the people who were beside me. You know what I'm saying? And I've learned that you can't help others until you help yourself, and they may be upset for a little bit, but once you, do what you got to do and then you show them what you were doing it for, then all that shit goes out the window, So the diff, we were still friends, we were still doing work or whatever, but we were kind of fizzing off because life was happening for everyone. So I started doing solo stuff. And then I started doing this thing called DC Unplugged. So I met this dude who's a saxophonist, and he had like a 6-song CD, and I had like 6 songs that I had wrote, and produced or whatever got created. And so what we decided to do was just throw our own show and to get our own band, play our own music, and just do our own show. Now, mind you, we would throw Go-Go in it, but it wasn't focused on Go-Go because he's a saxophonist, but he's a saxophonist in a sense of like, jazz. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't no go-go horn punching saxophonist. So we put this CD together and then we would go to different, like just different places. I would rap a cappella. He would play his horn and we'll sell the CDs. And then we'll sell enough CDs so that we'll be able to rent out a hall and then we can throw a show. we did that probably 3 times, I think, 3 or 4 times. And when we did it, like, yo, the response was dope. You know, the people that was showing up was dope. During that time, I was being courted, and I always say this, I was being courted by this guy who was like, he just was relentless. He was like, yo, I got
it. So back up a little bit. So
Okay.
how did you know this guy and why was he courting you?
I knew this guy because he played with Northeast Groovers, you know, so I knew him and I knew that he had like, you know, he was different, right? So
Yeah, he definitely was different than the rest of Northeast group.
definitely different from all of the Northeast Groovers. Like if you put Northeast Groovers in the lineup and I said point out the different one, everyone would get the answer right. So he was asking, he was like, yo, I got this idea of doing original go-go band, dog. Like, you know, I need you to be a part of it, blah, blah, blah. I told him no, probably two to 3 times. But
no, it was definitely more than that.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, though, what's up, Rob? What's up, Barry? If I remember correctly, prior to me asking you to be in the band, we had already cut Fairweather, and you were just a feature on
right.
That. So
yeah. Well, that was the consolation. So you tricked me. So what happened was, what happened was you asked me to be in the band, and I kept saying no. And so you said, okay, well, just write a song for me. You know what I'm saying? That was how you just write a song for me. I'll go to the studio. Let's just do it. I said, okay. And so I wrote the song, and then you was like, okay, well, let's cut it. You know what I'm saying? Let's just cut it. And so we went and cut it. And
then, wait a minute, because there's a part of the story that you're leaving out. Because you did the rap, that's for sure. But the story of how the song came together.
Okay.
Me and my homeboy Ron did it.
Right.
So did the track. And at the time I was hanging out with my good friend from Annapolis name is Freddie. His younger brother's name is Antoine. Antoine went on to be a member of Drew Hill. Okay. So at the time, me and Antoine and his cousin Brandon, who plays keys for Raheem Devon now, we're all hanging out heavy. And it was this girl that was like kind of dealing with Brandon and really like, and you know me, I'm like the soft-hearted dude, like she's crying on my shoulder about what Brandon isn't doing it right or whatever. So she's a songwriter, right? So I'm like, I'm telling her sort of the same thing as I'm telling you. I'm like, look, I'm putting together an all original go-go band. Like I'm trying to, really make real songs and do sort of like for go-go what the band No Doubt did for ska music, right? So she writes this banging ass song to the track, right? I went to, you remember that big dumbass brown car I had, a 1979 Mercury Monarch when I was playing with Northeast Groovers. I drove that big ass boat from Annapolis to Columbia to pick her up, to take her back to Laurel. No, Annapolis to Laurel to take her back to Glen Burnie to do the reference for the song. I knew she wasn't going to be in the band, even though I was pressing her like I was pressing you, because I knew I wanted a guy and a girl, a guy that could rap and sing a little bit, and a girl that could sing and rap a little bit. That was my whole model. I get all the way to Laurel, and her roommate answers the door, like obviously just got out of the shower, dripping wet, and it's like, oh, she went to Atlanta yesterday.
What?
And I'm like, I just drove all the way the fuck over here. But so I was so pissed. So I went and I wrote the singing part to Fairweather about her. It's like, if you don't really know, you could think it's like a relationship song, but it's really not. It's really about me talking about, yo, I was your fucking shoulder to cry on this whole time, and then you jerked me when it was time to really come through. And then that's when I asked you to, I can't remember if Smoke we had Smoke come play the congas before you did the rap or after. Do you remember?
That was real blurry as far as how that all came together. I just remember going to the studio and cutting it, but I don't remember much about like the studio and stuff like that. But
yeah, it was in his house. But the interesting tidbit of that story is that young lady that I'm talking about, her name is Kalina Harper, and she was the third girl in Diddy Dirty Money.
Wow.
Dawn from Danity Kane and Kalina. Yep. So Kalina wrote the very first. You and Kalina wrote the very first Mambo Sauce.
Oh shit! I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Well, I should. Kalina wrote it. Her version was way better than what I wrote, but
Right.
what I did was enough to get on the radio 2 or 3 times, so that was good enough. But
Yes.
but yeah. So anyway, so all right. So I tricked you.
Right. So after that, I started doing it, and I'm gonna tell you what convinced me to do it. Right. So this was 2004. My mother passed in 2004.
I remember.
And after she passed, I just started thinking about all of these opportunities that I passed up, and how I wanted her to, see me, do something amazing or whatever. And so I just kept hearing her say, go for it, baby, go for it, baby. So and she was talking about the Mambo Sauce situation. So
well, really, you never told me that. I didn't know she was a proponent of you doing it.
Yeah, well, she wasn't in a sense of like me talking. My mother would always, so when I would go to my mother for advice, she wouldn't necessarily tell me to do stuff. She would ask me questions so that I will come up with the answer. You know what I'm saying? So I went with her about this, and she knew that I had desires in music or whatever. And so after she passed, her spirit to me told me, yo, you need to do this. You know what I'm saying? So that was the reason why I finally said yes to you. And then, while doing it, you convinced me to think exactly how you were thinking. Like initially, I wasn't thinking like that. I was thinking like a DC dude, and I was thinking about go-go the way that DC thinks of go-go.
Let's break that down, because I think that's important.
All right. So, Mambo Sauce did things differently, very differently. And
first tell me how a DC go-go dude thinks, like what you were before. And because that's like sort of the whole point of this show is like you have a certain mindset that this is what it is and this is how it's got to be. And I'm interested to know, like, what was it that was different to you?
There's certain things that happen in go-go that just doesn't happen on a national level. It just doesn't happen. It's considered unprofessional, and it doesn't present well. For instance, one thing is like doing sound check in front of everyone. Like that's not cool. That's not cool on a national level. Let me say
not even on a national level, but on a local level in other places.
True. That is, but I mean, go-go is its own industry, so I guess they coined that. But when you're trying to go in other markets, it's just not going to play well, right? Starting on time. If your set is at a certain time, then you start at that time. Playing weekly gigs, at the same location. So, if you play weekly gigs at the same location, sooner or later, like you're just going to have the same type of people, the same amount of people coming out, and you're really not expanding your listenership, right? And then if you do that, that also stops you from going to other markets to play, because in order to make to be nationally recognized, you have to go to other markets, right? Mm-hmm. But then also when you go to other markets, the amount of money that you're asking for, you're not going to get, because you have to build up that market. Yep. So you have to, how you started in DC and you built the buzz in DC to make it so that you're getting $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a night. You have to take that same blueprint, or you have to do that same thing in other markets, period. You know what I'm saying? And I think before, I just wanted to be a local celebrity, because that's what I saw. That's what I was amazed at, and that's what I wanted to be. So I wanted to be the person who was playing every night and had the girls and all of the things that come with local celebrity, right? But now that I've got a taste of this national stuff, like it's cool, but it's like a trap. You know what I'm saying? And I say this in the most, like, I don't really give my opinion. Like, for real, I don't really interview about this stuff. I don't interview about Mambo Sauce. I don't interview about go-go, because I really think that people take me the wrong way. I remember one time I went to it. I'll give this one story. And yeah, I know you remember this.
I remember because about 7 people have thrown it in my face multiple times. Yeah,
But
but
look, I went to a meeting because everybody was, talking about go going national, right? And so I went to the meeting to, just go to the meeting to hear what everybody was saying. This was when Mambo Sauce was hot. This one when Miracles was out. I don't know. I think Welcome to DC was out too, but I just think
it was because it was after I was gone and
right.
DC had been out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it was out, and I go to this meeting, and everybody's talking about, like how can we do this? How can we do that? And so I started speaking. And when I speak passionately, right? And so, some people may take offense to it. I move my hands, my voice may go up or whatever, but I'm not trying to be offensive. So I don't know how we got on it, but somebody was saying something about, the song Miracles or Welcome to DC and how it's saturating and blah, blah, blah. And people supporting it, but they ain't supporting this and supporting that. And so
you got to be specific. What did they say? What were they saying?
I can't remember exactly what they were saying.
But what was the gist of it, though?
Gist of it was that, you guys are commercial. You know what I'm saying? The people outside of Go-Go are the people that are supporting y'all, like stuff like that. You're not real Go-Go, right? Okay. And so my comeback was, well, look, make a better song. Mm-hmm. I challenge everybody in here to make a better song than Miracles, to make a better song than Welcome to DC. Mm-hmm. And I was serious about that. Mm-hmm. I wasn't saying that, oh, nigga, we dope and y'all can't do what we do. I wasn't saying that. What I was saying was, yo, everybody make a song and we can competitively, we can compete. And if we competing, then we're helping each other because we're trying to put out the best material to be
still, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what I was saying. But then I left the meeting and people hitting me up talking about, they talking about you arrogant, you this, you that, you think you like that because you, and I was like, damn, so from that point on, I really don't speak on this because I think that people think that, that's how I feel. And that's not how I feel. I think Mambo Sauce is dope. I think Mambo Sauce is like, yo, we got one of the best albums that ever come out, musically in Go-Go. We have done some of the most amazing things that we just don't get recognition for. And it's cool. Like, I'm not going to go and sit here and, it's just a waste of my time to do that. I know what we've done. You know what I'm saying? So, I forgot what I was talking about that made me go off.
You were saying that I was trying to get to like what was your thought process when you said you were like thinking like a go-go dude. Okay. And what was it about? You said your mom, but like, what was it about? I don't know, what was I saying that made you think that, okay, maybe this makes sense? And how does that apply to go in general?
I just saw it work. You know what I'm saying? And in the beginning, man, you spent a lot of time together. I was with you almost every day. And so, I used to hear how you planned. I heard how, your thought process, and I'm a thinker. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I'm just going to sit around you and not take what you're saying into consideration. Mm-hmm. And then once we started putting it into play, then I started seeing that, he's actually right. Like, this is the way. Like, this is the way to make it happen.
He hit you with the Mandalorian joint.
You
must not have watched that show.
No.
That's what he said. That's his little catchphrase. Oh, this is the way. This is the way.
Okay. So, and then, then we started like touring, like just doing shows with Soja. And then like to see the reaction. Well, before we even did shows with Soja.
Yeah, we got to back up. We got to take it a little slower than that. Yeah.
All right.
The whole shit. So.
All right. So
after I tricked you into being in the band.
All right. So after you tricked me into being in the band, we went through a process of like finding members. And it was a revolving door because this was definitely a hard thing to sell, especially to talented people that you want the talent, you want people who know go-go. But when you get people who know go-go, then that mindset comes with them. So it's kind of hard to convince them that this is the way. So it was a revolving door of this person and that person. But then we would get a solid number, but we stayed in the studio. I mean, we stayed in the shed for maybe a year. You know what I'm saying? A year or so before we even decided to do a show.
It was longer than that, I think, because I started. It might have been a year because I came back from LA in 2003, the beginning of 2003, and that's when I started putting it together. And originally I had Drew, guitar player Drew,
right,
and Glenn and
Kyrie.
No, Kyrie didn't come till later. Kyrie didn't come till later.
You had a young dude.
First, it was Ice. Rest in peace to Ice as well. Ice was the first bass player, and then he left. And then I had the young lady Kendra that went on to play for Belladonna later.
Yeah,
and because I really had to convince Kyrie, and I really had to convince Chris. And I think I had tricked Chris into playing with the band too, because I was like, yo, I need you to fill in or something like that. And he came and saw Glenn. Like, Glenn was the keyboard player at the time. Glenn that plays with Wale now.
Yeah.
And he was like, Chris was like, damn, he's good. And he was like, oh, the music. Chris was, and that's why I want to talk about the difference between like what convinced you, because I know Chris was convinced, not because of me, or the vision, because of the musicians that were there. He was like, yo, this is a good ass band. Yeah. And that's a lesson for people to learn. I think that, like, you can have the best vision in the world, but when you're talking about musicians at a certain level, they want to, what's up, T-Bone? They want to play with other musicians of that caliber. And that's something that even more so sometimes than the money or the vision or whatever. It's about playing with people of that caliber. So it was, Drew, Glenn, Barry, Smoke was the first Congo player, but then he left and went and started playing with familiar faces, I think. Yeah. And were you there when Smoke was there? Yeah, you were there when Smoke was there.
I was there. I was there from the beginning. I went through everybody. I say this with pride. I'm the only original member.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Well, Drew was there, I think, before you, but obviously you can't do much with just a guitar player. But but that was, of course, the first person I picked, because I'm like, I don't fucking want to play guitar. Right. If you remember, I never wanted to be in the band at all.
Right.
I didn't want to be the manager either. I was just trying to be the record label. That was it. Right. That was the whole point. It was Red Sea Records. That was it. And I got y'all tricked me into doing all the other shit. So anyway, since we're talking about tricking people. So anyway, all right, so go ahead. So we used to rehearse at Michi's joint behind the cell phone store.
Yeah.
We rehearsed at Perfect Image. Mike and he joined at the end of the street by the train tracks for a long time. Yeah, I just said that because you said the shed. We didn't get to the shed till later on.
Yeah, because we went to Chuck's too.
That's where we wrote Miracle and Welcome to DC, if I'm not mistaken. No, Welcome to DC was in the shed. Yeah, right. I remember that day. Yeah.
So we would rehearse, and we would vibe out, and what really blew me away about Mambo Sauce is that it was so easy to make songs, like especially in the beginning. It was super easy to make songs. Like, they would just get in there and just start playing, and one person would play something and it'll catch somebody's ear, and they'll be like, yo, keep that going. Then everybody will join in. And then next thing you know, I'm on the side, doing a hook. And then, it's just done. Like, it's just done. The way the songs were made with Mambo Sauce, it still amazes me to this day.
Yeah.
So, we rehearsed for about a year and a half, and then we stepped out on the scene. When we stepped out on the scene, it was a lackluster kind of receptance because we were new and we were different, but I knew we cranked. Matter of fact, talking about Antoine from Drew Hill, he did the first show with us, and he did the cover song because we didn't have enough original songs to play the whole show. So he did that Bobby Valentino Slow Down joint. And that was the joint when he was in like the middle of the joint.
Yeah. I can't remember where it was, like Adams Morgan or something like that. But yeah, I remember somebody came up to me, just like what you were just saying. Like, somebody came up to me afterwards. I feel like it might have been P. Stu, but I don't think it was P. Stu because he's not really a go-go dude. But whoever it was like, yeah, that'd be tight. Except, if the dude wasn't just a rapper, like, you got to lead, like, trying to, like, it to be more like a regular go-go band, like have you lead talk and shit. Yeah. Like, that's not how this is built. That's not the point of what we're doing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, and so it took me a while to be comfortable with that, but the it didn't take me a long time. It took me about 1 or 2 shows, because after 1 or 2 shows, I knew what we were. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that we cranked. I knew that we was solid. You know what I'm saying? We put the time and we put the time and energy in. So yeah, we went out there with confidence. Like the whole band went out there like, yo, we know y'all gonna think this different. Y'all probably gonna sit on the wall and look at us. But for real, you gonna leave here talking about that band is tight. You know, even
Well,
if
if you remember, that was a lot of the conversation at the beginning. Like, remember, we had a meetings at Denny's across from the rehearsals from E.T.'s joint over off South Dakota, and it would be like, yo, y'all be prepared for the fact that go-go crowds are just gonna stand there and look at you and not dance because they know the songs and they're used to people playing songs that they already know. So just prepare yourself for that now and know that it's gonna happen and don't let it affect you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, so we went through, some good times of that. Like it was some times of it. I remember one show it got to me. We played with UCB, and I think that was the only show that it really got to me, to where I even said something on the mic, but like
that was the Wiley K joint that does the Miami Takeover. Yep, I remember that.
And I had the screw face. Like, so I wasn't like, when I got angry, I wasn't angry like, oh, F y'all, whatever. Like, no, I'm partying in your face. Like, I'm saying the raps like this in your face because I know it's tight and you just not
you just don't get it yet. Yeah, you just don't get it yet.
Yeah. So we went.
Man, T-Bone from Trouble Funk said the first time I heard that group, I knew they should have been on the road out of DC gone. Yeah.
Man. That's dope, man.
Yeah.
So we were in the process of recording. We were recording songs. We were going back and forth to Baltimore. So I'm trying to, move on, I guess, to the songs and stuff like that. So I'll tell y'all how miracles happen. We were practicing in Chuck's basement, and Malachi came to the rehearsal. And he gave us a sheet and said, yo, these are the songs that we're working on. Check the song that you want to record next. We'll check the song that you want to be the single. Something like that. And so he gave everybody the paper. Everybody just put their paper to the side because we was rehearsing. And then we went outside on a break. We just went to go on a break. And so Pep came back in on a break early and everybody was still outside. And so then when we came back in, Pep was playing he was playing the guitar part of
just doing down, 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 all open strings. He didn't know how to put his fingers on the fretboard at all. He just went down, 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 just fucking over and over again.
Over and over. So everybody was like, all right, keep playing that. And so
now, but remember how hype he was? He knew, like, I got to give Pep credit for that. I ain't giving Pep credit for shit else, but I'm going to give him credit for that. He fucking knew. And I was like, young, you're not even putting your finger down. You're just playing open strings. But he was like, young, instead, I'm telling you, young, this is it.
He was super hype.
Y'all were doing it as a slow song at first. Remember?
Yeah. I think we started it as a slow song. And then, somehow, some way it got to the bounce joint. You added
my credit for that. That was my idea.
Okay. All right. So in rehearsal, we come up with this song. Like I said, it was amazing how Mambo Sauce came with songs. So in rehearsal, we come up with this song and we take another break. And then Malachi, he leaves. Oh, well, I don't know if we took a break, but we know that Malachi left the joint. So when Malachi came back, everybody handed him their papers, and their papers had miracles written at the bottom and had it circled. So this was a new song that we just made up. And this was the song that we wanted to record. So Malachi was like, all right, cool. We're going to do that. We went to the studio. We went and recorded it. It didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. We went home. He sent us the track or whatever. And we was like, nah, we just going to scratch it. But Malachi went back to the studio, spent, I don't know how many hours, but I'm sure it was a significant amount of hours in the studio, like remixing it. Like, just making sure that the mix was the way that it was supposed to be. And then he sent it back to us and we was like, oh, this is tight. It was just a brand new song. And so we was like, we love it. To be totally honest, I had no idea that song was going to do what it did. Like, I knew.
I didn't either. I knew it was a good record, but I didn't know it was going to do that either. Yeah.
Yeah, so the next thing you know, I don't know, like 2 weeks later, I'm riding. It's like 3 o'clock at night, and I hear it on the radio. You know what I'm saying? I'm super psyched because they planning it overnight, so they testing it. You know what I'm saying? And then next thing I know, I'm hearing it like, in the mix during the day. The next thing you know, it's on the countdown, and I'm like, yo, it's happening.
Yeah.
And I remember one time we played at some I think the Green Day Festival or something.
That was the Black Family Reunion joint.
It was the Black Family Reunion.
Mm-hmm.
I played at the Black Family.
The Green Day joint. I remember the Green Day joint. The stage was facing the other way.
Okay.
But the Black Family Reunion joint, it was when everybody's go ahead. Tell
Man, we played at the Black Family Reunion, and we was playing. So we are original band, so of course we playing our original music, and people are feeling it, but you don't see them going crazy yet because they don't know, they're unfamiliar.
Right.
Then we played Miracles. Oh my God, dog! When I tell you, like people was just running like that.
Yeah, they were all the way on the other end of the mall, and as soon as we hit the first bam, bro, the whole fucking crowd just came running.
Oh man,
sprinting to the stage. That shit was insane.
It was insane. It was insane. So let me tell you, this is my relationship with Gogo, and I love Gogo, but I do, want to point this out, and I don't necessarily this is I love Gogo. I just want to put that out there one more time. So Miracles, Welcome to DC. I knew it was a hit. I know it was a hit off the top. As soon as we made it, I was like, oh, this is gonna go. Plus, it wasn't gonna be no kind of red tape because Miracles was already on the radio. So it's like, yo, here's the second hit. We knew they was gonna play it, blah, blah, blah. So that happens, and then we get in this whirlwind of success. We're on the radio with 2 different songs and so forth and so on. We doing shows. We getting walkthrough money. You know what I'm saying? People sending limos for us to come to clubs to just walk through, and we yo, this is dope. And so the Go-Go Awards come up, and I think this is the second Go-Go Awards come up, and so we win Band of the Year. And we win Song of the Year.
Yep.
We go up there to get our award, and I hear some boos. I hear slight boos in the crowd. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, I'm from DC. I love Go-Go, so that kind of hurt my heart. I didn't get up there and bam out and say no, with F y'all and all that. I said thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. We doing this for y'all. Blah blah blah. We left. And so this really pissed me off though. The following year, the people who were in Go-Go, you know what I'm saying? What they decided to do was rally up and get the radio station to change the voting process so that the inner circle would be the people that were voting versus the people outside of Go-Go. And that hurt my heart, man. That really crushed me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, I thought that they would be cheering us on. I thought that they would be, rallying behind us and everything. But when I saw that, that really hurt my heart, man. So let's just keep it moving. So
that doesn't surprise me at all. I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me at all. And I guess I didn't really remember. The funniest thing is the main thing that I remember about the Go-Go Awards was the jacket that I wore, because I spent way more money on that jacket than I ever spent on any other jacket, and the fact that we went to Hooters afterwards, and it was the first time I've ever been to Hooters, and probably the last time I've ever been to Hooters, even though there's literally one right across the street from us right now, but I don't go there. And that's all I really remember about the Go-Go Awards.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna speed up this joint because I know you. Well, you got a time limit on here? Okay.
Nope.
All right, so Mambo Sauce. We got
it was 3 hours, so you got plenty of time.
Okay, all right, cool. So Mambo Sauce, we had we got the recognition we got noticed by a band called Soja. And Soja was a reggae band that was.
Oh wait, don't forget that was prior to all of that though, because Drew, the guitar player, was working at the Guitar Center in, what was that, Four Corners or something like that.
Yeah.
And the Soja guys used to come in there and buy equipment or whatever. And so he would telling us about him or whatever. And we started, even before Miracles came out, we started playing with them down at Jamma Java, and then they were growing, and they moved from Jamma Java up to the State Theater, and they liked us, and then we moved with them to the State Theater, and also the 8x10 in Baltimore. We used to play with them all the time,
right?
And yeah. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, my bad. I was sending some. Okay, but yeah, you're gonna have to help me out with some of this because my joint is like, it's all over the place. So help me with, putting it in order. For real.
No, that's all good. Yeah, no, that was. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be in order, but I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like Soja just like took notice of the band after we had all this notoriety. Like we were already playing with them, and they were already fans and already friends and already cool beforehand. That's the only thing I wanted to clear up.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So Mambo Sauce, we were playing like it was just amazing because what we would have, and I still look through some of these emails, right? But we would have like itineraries that were like 5 days long, and it would be in all of these different places, like all of these different locations. It was never the same like space, And when we went there to every location, the reception was just mind blowing, So I knew that we were onto something, and so when things start going good, like it is very, you have to remain grounded. You have to remain focused. You have to understand that you haven't arrived yet. I think a lot of us thought that we had 2 songs on the radio. We were in demand or whatever, and I don't think that they thought we arrived yet, but they thought that the faucet would just continue to run. You know what I'm saying? We didn't necessarily collectively, we didn't necessarily think that the faucet it can move to a slow drip because we thought we were just this creative. We thought that we had just so much in the tank, and we had so many opportunities and so many people behind us that we didn't think that the spout could go to a drip. Mm-hmm. And so I think with that came a slowdown in creativity, a slowdown in professionalism, a slowdown in I think that those 2 things are like the main things. We just wasn't as productive, as we used to be. We were still productive, but we wasn't as productive. Like before, we would make sure that we were on time, or we'll be a little bit late. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. I gotta tell the ultimate Black Blue story of all time. Me and Alfred had about an hour-long conversation, like borderline argument about whether CPT was a scientific fact. I remember you were trying so fucking hard to convince me, like, yo, it's just a thing, Rez. It's a thing. It is. Like, it's scientifically proven. CPT is a real thing. You just have to live with it. You just have to accept it. I was like, oh, that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
That was the funniest shit. I was so mad at the time, but it's so fucking hilarious now.
See, that was me. That was me trying to defend somebody. And if I wasn't mistaken, I was trying to defend Chris. I know I was always trying to defend
It was probably either Chris or Pep, I'm sure.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know, man. When you get a taste of success and when you get a taste of it like that, like it came in a rush. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to see DC. Miracles was just like boom. We just didn't expect it. And then Welcome to DC, just like that, just.
Well, let me back up for 1 second real quick, because this is one thing that I think people don't understand. People think, and I don't want to like fortify that with what you're saying, which is people think that we just came out of nowhere with Miracles, and it was just like, oh, you guys just got lucky. So we put out Fair Weather, Damn Go, and I feel like I'm leaving another one out.
I think that was it. I think it was Fair Weather, Damn Joe, and Go. Those are the only ones that we put out.
Okay, maybe you're right.
I remember Damn Joe, Go was the side. Go was the B side of Damn Joe.
Yeah. It was a B side of Damn Joe. Go was originally written for the Wizards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like those type of opportunities came. Like now, people are playing at the Wizards games, but when before they had a band like playing there, like we were playing. We played there, and like I don't even know when it was, but it was in like 2008 or something, or maybe.
Yeah. What's funny is the guy that put that together, Damien, ended up working for me later at the casino.
Wow.
Yeah. But
I remember one time. This really blew my mind. I don't know if you remember the one time where they had like they had some kind of thing at the Capitol Center, or not the Capitol Center, whatever, the U.S. Air Arena or whatever. And they just rolled us around in like a golf cart, and it was like they had all of the basketball players. They was rolling them around. They was waving. It was like a parade inside the actual venue.
I think that was the same day that we played there. If I'm not mistaken.
Same day.
I think so. Yeah, that was the same day.
That blew my mind. No, I don't think so. I think it was like a pep rally or something.
You might be right. Yeah, it's all a blur. Like there was so much shit happening all at one time.
Yeah. So that was like Mambo Sauce, man. Like I'll continue because I know a lot of people are interested in the whole story of Mambo Sauce in general. So, Mambo Sauce, after Welcome to DC and Miracles, we were traveling, we were, doing shows with Soja, we were going here and there, like outside of just DC. And we were doing well. And like I said, things started.
Why do you think Soja took Mambo Sauce on tour?
I mean, they saw it. You know what I'm saying? They saw it. And they saw it because they had on industry glasses. You know what I'm saying? And because they had on industry glasses, they saw that we were, I want to say, industrializing go-go in a sense of we were packaging it so that they knew that this music they love, they have someone who can give it to the people that are supporting them. You know what I'm saying? To allow them to experience something that they have at home, and they know that they can't necessarily do it. You know what I'm saying? But they like, yo, we got this band that has the authentic sound, but they're able to package it so other people outside of this city, the people that we're playing to, they can finally understand, what we talking about when we say go-go music. So I think that was what made them gravitate to us, because like that's how they felt. Like they were fans more so than just they were fans. They were brothers of ours, but they were fans. They genuinely liked what we were doing. So I think that's what made them take to us. And we would travel with them, we would do shows. I mean, they opened up our eyes more to what you were preaching the whole time, as far as like like in other markets, the amount of money that we got in other markets we didn't get here. You know what I'm saying? We were getting good money here. Like we were getting great money for spot dates. We weren't even doing week shows. We were getting good money. But when we went on tour with Soja's like, yo, we about to pack out this 1,000-seat arena, you know what I'm saying? And we're gonna do it, And so if we put y'all on the show, we're just opening y'all up to our fans. Y'all can't expect us to pay y'all thousands of dollars and we're putting you in front of our fans. Like that's not how it's gonna go.
Well, if you remember, I had started negotiating that tour before I left the band.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most infuriating things to me that Soja made an offer that I thought was reasonable, although to your point, to a band that is making 10 times that much locally, it seems like a pittance. It seems like insulting.
Yeah.
But from me knowing a little bit more about it, only because I had worked with concert promoters in college and I had been on the college concert committee, and I had I wasn't an expert by any means, but I knew a little bit more about that. I thought it was a good offer. I took it to y'all. Y'all were like, nah, that's not enough money. So I was like, okay. I went back to them. I renegotiated. I got the offer almost doubled. Now, granted, it's still not a lot of money at all. You know what I'm saying? When you think, to your average person that doesn't understand how this business works. Not saying y'all didn't, but I'm just saying to like anybody else. Y'all still said no. Then the breakup happened. And then I found out later on that y'all went on the tour for the first amount of money that they offered that I had negotiated up. I was so mad.
So let's get that out of the way. Let's just go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. So you know, and without getting into too much detail, you know what I'm saying?
Just so you know, like I don't care. Like I've publicly spoken about everything that I fucked up, and I'm more than willing to speak on it again because my objective with this is for the next person not to do the fuck up what I fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
So,
Cool.
so you fucked up, I can talk about what I fucked up, and vice versa. Whatever is totally open book.
All right, cool. So there's certain things though that I won't speak of because they're about people, and I don't want to bring.
That's fine. Yeah, we don't have to bring anybody else into it that doesn't want to be involved. That's cool.
Right. So Mambo Sauce, we did started getting kind of like I said before, we started getting big headed, and Malachi was very stern. He was just like I understand his sternness. But some of the things that you used to say was like I used to be like, you going about it the wrong way. Like I understand what you're saying, but these are grown men and women. Like what you're saying is going to, fraction some people, right? So that right there created them and you situation. You know what I'm saying? But I was always the person in the middle. And
well, that's funny because I was just watching an interview that I had with Kyrie the other day, and he said he was always the person in the middle. So.
Well, Kyrie was that guy as well. You know what I'm saying? But like I understood fully because I was there with you from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? I understood exactly what your mindset was. So although I didn't agree with how you approached like certain conversations, I understood why you were doing it. You know what I'm saying? So like even like the first amount of money that they came with or whatever, I wasn't one to disagree with it, but I gotta stand behind the whole.
Right.
We can't act like because now it's us and you, so I can't act like I said we was cool, Malachi, but such and such said nah, so I couldn't do that. So I stayed with them. But during this time, it just became a us versus you situation. And it was just so many things that was just happening that it just seemed like I just knew it was going the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? And I think no one wanted to budge. And so one of the major things, and this is definitely what we're going to talk about, is the contract. So people just didn't agree with the contract. So instead of telling you that they didn't agree, we just didn't talk about it.
Didn't talk about it, didn't sign them, even after I was like, yo, what's up, rather than just saying, hey, we don't agree, like what let's check, because I would have totally, if y'all have been like, oh, we wanted to this slight change instead of this slight change, like that's
the thing though,
the negotiation thing, but I think
that was the thing. It wasn't slight. Like I think that's what it was. It wasn't a slight thing. Like it wasn't, yo, can you change this word or whatever? It was like, yo, can you change the whole contract?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so
well, let's say let me say what the contract was.
Okay.
The contract was I put up all the initial before anybody was involved, before you were involved, before anybody else really was involved, and the rehearsals were happening. Like these rehearsals cost money at all these different places that we're rehearsing at, right? So I'm paying all this out of the pocket. I'm doing all the graphic design. I'm doing all the booking of the shows. I'm not taking any money at any of this time at all. And that was the agreement that everybody came into the band under, which was, listen, this is being run like a rock band. This is not being run like a go-go band. This is not like, hey, I come and play and I get my $100. And if that doesn't work for you, I totally understand. But that's the way this band is going. So that is the premise that you're coming into this band under. And that's not abnormal. Like if you talk to the Soja dudes, like that's probably how they started, or any other band that's not go-go, right? So you don't start making money as a part of the band until the band starts making money, right? So my idea was a 60-40 split, which was 60% to, and the way I based that off of was the way that Rio used to do the shit, right? Rio used to do a 50-50 split with the bands. The only thing that Rio had that I didn't have was his own studio, right? But Go, Damn Joe, Fairweather, everything all the way up until even Miracles, because we didn't the money, our money as a band didn't start going up until Miracles happened. So everything prior to everything up to Miracles, recording wise, I paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Out of my own pocket. So, but I didn't. What typically happens in those type of conversations or those type of contracts is it's a split after expenses are paid back. So that's what you hear artists talking about, recouping, right? You recoup. Yeah. The record label recoups their money first, and then they start splitting it. But I wasn't asking for a recoupment. I was just like, it was just a 60-40 split, period, like from what we call in the booking world from $1, which means, yes, I put this money out of my pocket. Yes, y'all are putting some money out of your pocket too, because, in theory, because you're looking at it as though, well, we're playing these shows and we're not getting paid. It's going into the recording budget. So I'm looking at that like, okay, well, you guys are, in a sense, contributing as well. I put money out of my pocket. I'm also not taking any management or booking fee or anything, graphic design fee or anything for all this other shit that I'm doing. And so therefore, because we're both contributing to it, I'm not worried about recouping mine first. We'll just split it a little bit more on my side because it was my concept that I came up with. I put all of y'all in the band. I chased certain people down for months and months and months to convince them to be in the band. And from what I thought, and from everybody that I knew that had some sort of knowledge of the industry, they were like, yeah, that's more than fair. You should at least get your money back first before you start splitting anything. Like, that's crazy. So I was, yes, shall we say, a little bit taken aback when it was thrown back to me as if I was being sort of unfair. But also it was like, not even like at the beginning when I remember giving you the contracts, and it was at the Denny's across from the Metro or the fucking store that we were rehearsing in behind. That was way before Miracles or anything else. And I continually followed up saying, yo, what's up with the contracts, yo? But, everybody was friends. Everybody was cool. It felt like it was going in the right direction. I wasn't trying to be an asshole. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I felt like I didn't start being an asshole until, in my mind, people started disrespecting me like, yo, shut the fuck up. We're going to do what we want and show up when we want to. This is our band. It's not yours. That's when I felt like I started being like an asshole, but that's just my perspective. Of course, it could have been taken, a different way by other people. So feel free to correct me if that's not what happened in your mind.
I mean, you were always an asshole, but I
very much.
Yeah, I could, I could tolerate it. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't an asshole, like, especially for me. Like, I knew what you were being an asshole about. I knew what the end result you wanted to get to. So, this is my take, and I'm not going to say everybody else's take, but this is my take on the entire situation.
Okay.
Granted, yes, you paid for everything. You know what I'm saying? You put in a tremendous amount of money. You put in a tremendous amount of intellectual property. You know what I'm saying? You put in a tremendous amount of sweat equity. You put in all of that, right? And I think that you should have been compensated for that. I think that you should have definitely recouped all of that, right? Mm-hmm. But now you're messing with 7 grown people, and the contract was for, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was a label contract, and it was for 3 years. I mean, 3 albums, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was for 3 albums. It was for 3 albums, and it was a 60-40 split, right? 40 is what you're taking, and 60 is what the entire band is taking, which means that we have to split it by 7, and that is less than 10% a person, right? So, then you're working as a record label, and a record label is supposed to be the quote unquote bank You know what I'm saying? That's what record labels are. They're basically.
Well, it depends on what kind of if you're talking about a major record label, yes, but an independent record label, this is not.
Well, independent record label, you know, they also have a certain they also have a certain amount of money, you know what I'm saying, to go towards the project, right? So I admit that you put a considerable amount of money towards the beginning of the project, but then at some point our money started paying for the project, right? And so then
which is why it was 40% your way. I mean, 60% your way instead of 50.
No. I'm just we still wasn't taking money. Like when we were taking small percentage, we was taking small amounts of money, but we still was putting all of the money towards, you know, our what's your name, right? So I wasn't even upset with that, right? I was still cool with that. This is where it got me. Where it got me was that you were willing to get investors to invest a certain amount of money, and you were willing to give up some of your share to the investors for the amount of money that they were going to give you. You know, and my point was, well, wouldn't we be considered investors? Because we are now paying, I mean, we're playing and we're giving our money to this. So if that's the case, then, you know, shouldn't some of that percentage come back to us, right? And so that was my issue. And then my issue was also like 3 albums. Like, yo, like, you know, I'm signing to you for 3 albums. And respectfully, you know, you're not an established record label. Like, you know, what we're doing with you, you know, what you created and what we're now doing is establishing you as a record label. You know, so this is just all in my joint. You know, what we're doing is establishing you as a record label. And then from my perspective, it's like, yo, like we was making, I remember this one meeting. This is the meeting that really blew me. You know what I'm saying? This was the meeting that kind of took me over. This was the meeting that kind of separated me from you. Because initially I was always on your team. Even when I was talking to people, you know, when they were disagreeing, I was always on your team. I was always trying to fight for you or whatever. That's why, like, even now I try to, like, whenever we see each other, I always try to let you know, look, you know, everybody from the outside looking in, it would seem like I was the ringleader of this, maybe to you, you know, but I always try to let you know.
But yeah, it did.
So this conversation is what blew me. We were at Yendi's house and we were sitting down, and your statement was somewhere around, because I don't want to misquote you, but your statement was somewhere around like, I do like 99.9% of the work. That pissed me off. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, yo, you could have went and got any band, you know what I'm saying? And they wouldn't have given you the access that we're giving you. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think that, like, what you're not getting credit for, you know, which I'm going to give you credit for right now, is being able to select and being able to know that you needed these certain peoples in the band to create what you thought would work. You know what I'm saying? You courted me for, you know, years, you know, because you knew that was the element that you needed. You know, I don't know if you had a backup plan. You know what I'm saying? You knew that.
I had other people, but you were my choice. That's for sure.
Okay, so
you're giving me credit for picking you, is what you're giving me credit.
Yeah, I'm definitely giving you credit for picking me and picking all of these other people that you picked in the band, because you know you put a great team together. You know, but the team gelled and the team kicked ass. So when a fucking organization comes and tells the team that's out there on the court and doing all of this, when the organization comes and tells the team, yo, y'all won a championship, but let it be known that I did 99.9% of the work. And I know that that's not necessarily how you meant it, but that statement right there, like, I remember that conversation vividly. And that conversation, it was when I was like, damn, you know, because you was my man. And I told you from the gate, I was like, yo, any kind of business that I get involved in, I want you to be a part of it, you know, because I feel like, and still to this day, I still talk to people and I let them know that, yo, you are definitely one of the dopest businessmen that I've ever ran into. And I wish that we could have kept the relationship and kept doing business, because, yo, you about your business. Like, you research it, you get it done, you do all of that. But that day right there is when it was like, like, yo, I don't know.
So I want to break that down a little bit, because I of course I didn't do 99.9% of the. I'm sure that was spoken in anger, because by the time we started having those meetings, which I'll take responsibility for, because we did stop having. We started at the very beginning having meetings, and then we sort of fell off when things started to pick up, and then we didn't start having them again until shit started hitting the fan. So I'll definitely take the fucking hit for that. That was my fault. I should have done a better job of making sure that the communication was better, but I was overwhelmed. And the reason why I'm saying that I was doing 99% of the work, and if you look at a record label, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, first of all, I was the manager. If you remember, I looked for a manager multiple times to try, and asked y'all to look for a manager. And I don't exactly even remember what happened, but I remember there was a few people that came that just didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. And maybe that wasn't my decision to make, whatever. But again, this was an unconventional situation where this was a band that was put together, and like not just put together, but the whole vision was mine from the beginning. And then I put the band together around the vision, you know what I'm saying? Which is not typically how a band is signed to a record label. You know what I'm saying? Typically the band forms themselves, they do their own shit, they make their own music, they make a little noise, and then a record label notices them and says, hey, I'm going to make a deal with you based upon what you have already created. That wasn't what happened in this case. This was me putting this together to create it. And again, most times, like, the manager is not also the record label and the guitar player, and is not also the record label and the manager and the graphic designer, and the webmaster and the booking agent and the tour manager and the van driver and the fucking roadie. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what's going through my head. And the producer, that people in the band are saying you're not the producer, even though, like, the engineer, who's worked with far more producers than any of us, was like, yo, you did more production than any other producer that I've ever worked with. So yeah, I was probably in my feelings when I said that, but that was because I felt like my contribution was being disregarded, as though, yo, like, this really our band. Like, thanks for your help, but you know what I'm saying, we got this without you. You know what I'm saying? And that's probably why I said that. But yeah, that was probably
so since we're doing that, you know, like, I wanna apologize for this too, right? Because even in that meeting, you know, we were hot at the moment, and I think one of the comments was that, you know, because I got upset that you said the 99 joint. And so I said, well, at this point, you just answering phones. You know what I'm saying? You just.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't remember until you just said it, but yeah.
And so I said that, right? But then after we parted ways, we'll get to that point. But after that, I was the person that was responsible for all of this. And, you definitely wasn't just answering calls. You know what I'm saying? You were doing all of the things that I knew you were doing. So I just thought that I probably just said that, like you said, out of anger as well. Mm-hmm. But I think that's so moving on from that, right? I knew that the band wasn't trying to sign a contract. I knew that wasn't going to happen. I knew that you deserved to be recouped for what you did. I knew that you deserved, the credit for putting this together. So anytime I talk to someone, I let them know that you're the brainchild behind Mambo Sauce. I always let people know that. But I thought that what would be a fair type of situation was you would get recouped for everything that you get, for everything that you put in. And then you would be the manager of Mambo Sauce. You know what I'm saying? And you would be paid as like the 8th member. You know what I'm saying? So everybody would get the same share because, although you put this together, we were in the trenches together, so that was my train of thought. And then so many things had happened during that because, we collectively came together. And it's some things that I just don't want to talk about, but, we made some decisions on our end that we thought were the correct decisions, and we made them without consulting you, and I'm quite sure that you were offended about that.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Yeah, because that was when it became clear to me that, okay, this is y'all band now. You want to run it the way that you want to run it, but no matter what I say, it doesn't matter. So now that I know that's the case, I'm good. And
but that was like I think I tried to have a conversation with you, and that wasn't necessarily what it was. You know, what it was we thought that something was being, you know, without going into detail, that things were being infiltrated, and I even spoke to you about it. Like, our relationship was tight, you know, and you know, someone was in the circle and was trying to even mess our relationship up. You know what I'm saying? So what we were trying to do was actually like cut off a cancer, what we thought at that time. You know what I'm saying? And not the person, you know what I'm saying, but the affiliation of something else. Is that, if that makes sense?
Which I think that, you know, in hindsight, and I mean, I don't want to get too ambiguous with it because people watching and be like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? But you know, like, I would just say that if you're going to, if there is a problem within your circle, then you should excise the problem, not the person that is connected to the problem. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I think you know what I mean by that.
Yeah,
and,
I do.
And I think that was, but you know, like I was frustrated with what the problem was too, not even for the same reason, but a lot of the same reason why I was frustrated with y'all, which I felt like I was doing. I distinctly remember the Welcome to DC video release party at the venue that I rented with the projector screen that I figured out how to get.
Yeah.
With all of everything that was going on, with me running around like a chicken with my head cut off, doing every fucking thing that had to be done for that event, while everybody else was popping bottles and taking pictures and being movie stars. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, this is a microcosm of this entire organization. And that's how I felt about it. Whether that's right or wrong, that to me. And I even, you know, gave, you know, this other person, I was like, listen, this is too much for me to handle. Can you just handle the booking? And they didn't even do that. You know what I'm saying? And now to that person's credit, I called them on it. And I was like, dude, like, you're not holding up your end of the bargain here. And he was like, you're right. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? But before he really had a chance to get it together, it was, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to, you know, like, for anybody that knows who that person is, I don't want to run their name through the mud, because it's possible that they could have gotten it together. But at that point, it was like everybody was, and so my thing, just so you know, like with I mean, not to get too personal, but with the 99% thing was, I'm like, yo, y'all talking about you're in the trenches, but in the trenches to you means at the shows and at the studio. And I'm at the shows before y'all and after y'all, and booking the shows, and I'm in the studio before and after y'all, and I'm booking the studio. So to me, that's why I was looking at it like, not that I'm discounting y'all contribution. Obviously, nobody's gonna pay to come see me fucking play my guitar by myself on stage, and I didn't want to fucking do it anyway. I didn't even want to be in the band, if you remember. I only did it out of necessity because we couldn't find anybody that would do it under the agreement that we all were under. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it came with me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm literally teaching myself how to do graphic design, teaching myself how to do all of this shit. And, you know, at the time, it wasn't like it is now, as I brought up with, because just for people watching, like, part of what I fucked up royally was keeping track of the accounting, because I'm not a numbers person. I'm not a sophisticated financial person, still not to this day, but a lot better now than I was then. But at the time, there was no QuickBooks Online, FreshBooks. There was no easy way like there is now to just do the shit. Like, you had to hire an accountant. And at the time, it was like, we already don't have any money. I can't afford to pay somebody $150, $200 an hour, like, when none of us are even making any money. You know what I'm saying? And so I thought that I was making sure that I was doing everything through one account, and it was bank statements and all that. And because shit was moving so fast, I didn't really think about the fact that, yo, this bank statement is not enough to prove, because I would have to, this is what I would have to do. Like, when we would play a show, I would include the price of the sound system, because we wanted to use Rio sound system. because it was the best. You know what I'm saying? In terms of getting the go-go sound, because we weren't a traditional go-go band, so we needed that extra oomph for those quads to give you the bottom, to give it that feel, right? So I would include his sound price in our price, but then I would have to pull the money out of the account to give him the cash, because that's the only way he would get paid. Like Milton would come and I would have to, or T-Bone, and I would have to pay them cash, because that's the only way Rio will get paid. Like you couldn't pay him with a credit card or anything. And so what I didn't realize and think about was that, like, that just looks like a bunch of fucking cash transactions. It's not saying where it went. You know what I'm saying? And so I royally fucked that up. So all I would suggest to anyone who is in management or, you know, record label, or even just in a band, even if you're just a band member, whatever, make sure you get FreshBooks or QuickBooks or some kind of, it's exponentially easier to do all of this now than it was back then. iTunes was just coming out. Like literally when I put the 2 songs up on iTunes through TuneCore had just been out for like a couple of months. Like before that, I was buying like $100, you know, which would be like an ebook now, but it was like you download a book and you print it out, and to try to figure out how to like manually, it was a fucking book on how to try to manually put your shit on iTunes. And so that's what I would like when I would go home. You come from the studio, I would go home and read this fucking long ass book about how we're gonna get this shit on iTunes. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So anyway, I got off on a little bit of a tangent there, but all
good. I mean, I think in hindsight, you know,
make sure you keep track of the money. That's all I'm saying.
In hindsight, like, you know, a conversation without all of the emotions, I think could have led us to a reasonable, you know, agreement. Because like I remember the last time that we spoke. Like I remember when you decided to roll out. We met at PGC's parking lot in Princess.
I remember.
And you know, I told you what my thoughts was as far as, you know, the management thing. And I think that I was trying to be very convincing, because I never wanted you to leave. You know what I'm saying? I never wanted you to step away from Mambo Sauce. And and you had your reasons, you know, and we felt like we had our reasons for the decisions that we made. But I honestly feel like, you know, that tie was the reason why Mambo Sauce. Well, there's multiple reasons, right? But the number one reason why Mambo Sauce isn't a household name right now is because of that split up. If you were still a part of Mambo Sauce would be, every member would be in a fucking multi-million-dollar home right now, chilling. You know what I'm saying? About 4 to 5 Grammys. You know, like, yo, if that didn't happen, there's no doubt in my mind that Mambo Sauce would be a household name right now. Because when you left, you know, everything fell on me, and then I realized how crucial it was. And so let's start from there. So we already talked about the breakup. So when you left, you know, because I'm probably the most vocal and shit like that, like, you know, everything started falling on me, and I wasn't suited for it. You know, I couldn't do it. I tried to pull it off, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that Malachi shit. I didn't know how to do flyers. I didn't it was a learning process, but during the learning process, some things would slip through the crack. So, you know, we just started losing momentum, right? And so while we're losing momentum, then we start so Soja sees what's going on. And then, you know, their manager comes and is like, yo, look, I'll manage you. But you got to know at this point, Soja is touring the world. Soja's like the top 3 reggae bands in the I want to say world. I don't want to say just the nation. They're traveling everywhere.
Yeah, we're selling out stadiums in Brazil and shit.
Yeah, so this dude is managing us, but he's not trying to manage from the same point that you managed. Like you managed from a point where you, and this is it. Like you managed from a point where you were like, you know, walking people through the process. You managed. I'm trying not to mess up the terms. Like I'm trying to be politically correct. You managed like let's just put it, you managed like on a local level with a big mindset. You know what I'm saying? So you were willing to do, even though you were frustrated with it, you were willing to do the things that a national manager just wouldn't do. Like a national manager is, look, you plug and play. I'm here to get you opportunities. I'm not here to worry about no goddamn practice. I'm not here to worry about y'all writing songs. I'm not here to worry about like, I'm just here to find you opportunities. And so if you can't create music, if you can't find a way to, get to the practice studio, if you can't find a way to do this and do that, then it's just gonna mess up. Because I'm not gonna put no energy into it. So that's what Elliot was. Elliot was that kind of manager. Now, mind you, we're still.
I gotta interject for 1 second because I don't know if this is Jermaine or Tyler, but saying and taking, I think this must be Jermaine. So and taking time off from, this is after I was saying about all the blathering on about all the shit I was doing. He said, and taking time off from work and then up and quitting WPGC and making everybody listen to these songs over and over and over again. Because I don't know if you know, but Tyler, who was the first singer of Mambo Sauce, is now together with my man Jermaine that I used to work with at PGC, or you work under. He hired me at PGC. So yeah. So anyway, that was funny. But anyway,
shout out to Jermaine and Tyler. I know both of them, man. Good peoples. Yeah. So Elliot managed from that standpoint, and so I'm still trying to keep us close and keep us together. But I mean, now the morale is starting to lower because it's just not moving the way that it used to. The machine isn't functioning the way that it used to function, and so
So what wasn't happening that just for I'm not asking this like for my own self-serving, but for somebody else who may be in a situation, may have a band or whatever. Like, what are the important balls that can't be dropped? Pause. You know what I'm saying? That you think, like, if those things hadn't fallen through the cracks, like it still would have been okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the important shit that you can't move on without?
So I'll answer that, but I will say something like I'm gonna answer that, but I'm gonna add this, right? The main thing that messed it up is that you leaving messed up the team of Mambo Sauce, meaning that we collectively came together to go against you, if that makes sense. Like, you being the villain, we knew that it was good, so it wasn't like you were really a villain. But you being that person, brought us together because we was like, that's Reds. And then we'll get a kick out of getting you mad. We'll still do the shit, but we'll be laughing at shit that you get mad and stuff like that. So it made us come together. Now we don't have anybody to merge us together. Now we're left to our
own. Be a bad guy anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no bad guy no more. So now now we finding each other as the bad guy, or they finding me as the bad guy. So, but some of the things that you can't drop the ball on is momentum. First of all, we had the ball, we had to keep it rolling. There were certain things that you set up and certain relationships that you were grooming that helped us, helped us get into certain doors. There was certain language and certain things that you knew about touring, you know what I'm saying? Like, you actually solicited people for opportunities, whereas I didn't know how to solicit people for opportunities. I'm waiting for the phone to ring, and then I'm just executing whatever information or whatever documents and stuff that they're sending me, and then I'm putting out an itinerary that somebody already sent this. What you're doing is you are looking at, oh, this festival is here, let me hit them up. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we're going to be in such and such on Thursday, and we ride past such and such on Friday. Let's see if we can get a show, there on Friday. And, and fuck it, if we can get a show on Saturday, then that'll be dope too. You know what I'm saying? You were forward thinking, where I was just, making sure that emails and phone calls were answered. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the main thing. That was the thing that you brought to the table that I don't think people really knew. Like, they didn't really understand it fully. And I would say, me especially, I didn't understand how how much I knew how forward thinking you were, but I didn't know how much you were executing your forward thinking until you left the situation. And so when opportunities start slowing down, when the support of radio stations, or the support of the people who you once had in your backyard, once that starts slowing down, um and it really, it didn't come to a halt. Like, we still had a lot of popularity, but you could see it. You could see you could see it, and we don't have anything to follow it. We had great music, like our album, man. If anybody is looking at this, like, the recipe is like, to me, it's like the best go-go album. You know what I'm saying? When we first put it out, uh what's the OK Player, they did a review on it, and they did a review on it and compared it to everything that came out that year. And Jay came out that year, Kanye came out that year, like all of these people came out that year, and Mambo Sauce Recipe album ranked number one. Number one over all of them. So if any of y'all just think that Mambo Sauce is just miracles and Welcome to DC, y'all need to check out the album.
Right.
But
it's funny that you bring that up, because I'll be honest with you, like the thing that like most people, when people think of me, when people call me and ask me for advice on stuff, it's always like on some business shit, or how do I book, or how do I do this, or whatever. So like, I'm not even mad. I mean, I'm not mad at anything at all, but I wasn't ever mad that like y'all didn't understand that part, because you didn't see that part. So how could you understand it?
Yeah.
What made me mad? Oh, Ricky Angle said, "What's up, cousin?"
What up, man?
What made me mad was that I'm gonna tell you, the one comment that made me the most mad at it. It wasn't even the answering the phone thing. It was when Twink said, "Well, how are you the producer, Malachi? We have as many ideas as you do." And I was like, did you schedule the session? Did you stay there from the beginning to the, and Chris even posted it on his thing the other day. Like, what's the difference between a beat maker and a producer? And a producer is the person that takes the song from the beginning to the end. Right. And so what makes me the most upset is that I was in the fucking shed with y'all writing those songs. You know what I'm saying? The only song I was not involved in and didn't play on or produce was No Sleep, which I fucking love, but I wasn't involved in that song. Y'all did that after me. You know what I'm saying? Like, Come On, y'all did after Drew came back, but then remember, Drew didn't come to the studio or something, so I ended up playing on it and writing like the whole other part to it or whatever. So that's the part that bothers me the most, is just like, well, I can understand if y'all don't really get like the business part and how much work goes into that. But I feel like I contributed to the music, like not even just the production, but the songwriting too. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I co-wrote every single one of those songs except for No Sleep. You know what I'm saying?
What you mean by you co-wrote? Like, what you mean?
When
like,
I co-wrote, like I wrote the bridge to Long Time Coming. So no,
we're talking about the music. We're talking about music.
I'm talking about the music. Yeah, I'm talking about the music. So no, I didn't write any lyrics at all. Like, no, I'm not saying that at all. No, but I, but in terms of production, I did a lot of the vocal production. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, say it like this, don't say it like that. Try it like this, try it like you know. And so, like, to me, honestly, I didn't even really know that was production at the time. I was just like, I know how I want the song to sound, basically, and I was doing it. But like later on, talking to to Steve, the engineer, he's like, "Yo, that's more producing than like 99% of the producers that come in here do." Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the part that bothers me, is not necessarily that people that don't know how much, like what I did on the business tip, but like how much I was involved with the music too. Like, I think people just think that I just was the manager and that was it. Like, nah, that's me playing guitar on 90% of that album. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I wrote a lot of that music. You know what I'm saying?
And I talked to somebody, I can't remember how long ago it was, but somebody pointed out to me that you were that I guess they were listening to you on something, and you stated that one of the biggest things that made you mad was the way you were recognized on the album as Additional Spices, right?
Yep.
So
that prevented me from becoming a voting member of the Grammys because it does not count as production or writing credit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, additional spices, motherfucker. I was the recipe. What do you mean? I was hot. Yeah, I was hot about that.
Yeah. So I think you know that I think that was solely on me, and I didn't know. You know, I didn't know.
I get that it was clever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it was clever, and I get where it was coming from. But no disrespect to Yendi or Drew in any way, shape, or form. I got mad love for both of them. But if you want to put up my contribution to Mambo Sauce and that album versus their contribution to Mambo Sauce and that album, and to like have the same, you know, billing and to not even be consulted about it or anything. And granted, I wasn't even tripping because by that time I was like, fuck y'all, I'm out, I'm doing something else. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that did make me feel a certain way. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk after this because for real, we can just re-release it and get everything right.
Okay, I'm with it. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk after this. So yeah, let me finish with this. So
yeah, my bad. I keep interrupting. Sorry.
No. This is good content. Great content. Passionate about it. To be honest with you, I'm glad that this is the conversation because I'll keep it real. I've always felt like there was still some tension between us, even though everything was cool. You know, I still feel like, you know, there was a certain kind of avoidance. There was a certain, you know, something in the air. So I'm glad that you were open to have this conversation, and I'm glad that it's happening. So
I mean, I don't know that I'm gonna be completely frank with you. I don't know that I'm ever gonna be over that. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, for anybody watching. Oh, my wife just told me to stop cutting you off. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Yeah, wife.
My bad. The only time I have ever, and I was never going to do it, but the only time the thought of suicide ever even came into my mind was after that shit happened, because that shit cut me to my fucking heart, bro. Like I was like, man, I can't believe I put in this much time and blood and sweat and tears and you know what I'm saying, like to just have motherfuckers turn on me like this. I was hurt like shit, man. Like hurt like I've never been hurt before. You know what I'm saying? And I had my head cut open when I was young, and it wasn't nothing compared to that. You know what I mean? So, all right, I'm going to stop cutting you off. Thank you, wife. I'm going to shut up, and you have the floor. Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, I totally understand, and Mambo Sauce is, you know, like it's different than your perspective. But let me say this though, you left though, you know what I'm saying? So it was your decision, and I didn't want you to leave. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't necessarily, I can't beat myself up fully, you know, because it's like I didn't want you to leave.
I'm not saying that to beat you up. Sorry.
No, I know you're not. But Mambo Sauce is my biggest regret, you know, and I don't mean like my biggest regret as far as not, you know, being a part of it, but I'm saying it's my biggest regret as far as, you know, me being a part of something that I knew was groundbreaking, and I didn't do enough, or I didn't know enough at that time to make sure that I protected it. You know what I'm saying? And cultivated it correctly, and made sure that, you know, everybody was in the right place. And, you know, I could have done more, but I didn't know back then. I was just working off emotions and all of that. So, you know, Mambo Sauce goes on. So you know, so you roll. Mambo Sauce starts still whatever. And then we get Soja's manager. And he, like I said, he's a national artist manager. He's not you know, he wants you to be plug and play. So we decided to go on tour. Just like you said, for the same money that you know that you turned down initially, but we didn't know that was the money. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think we did. Well, anyway, we took it. You know what I'm saying?
I pitched the first amount to y'all. Y'all said no. Say again.
It was something else though. Like it was travel. Did they offer travel in the first one?
I don't know. I was like 15 years.
Yeah. So
I don't really remember, but it was. Yeah, but I understood where everybody said no to the first one. So I negotiated up to, which is still a small amount, but almost twice as much as what it originally was. And then I found out later on, like a few years later, that what y'all went out for was the original amount that they offered in the first place. And I was like, damn, okay.
So we went out. So we were offered the tour, right? And then while we offered, so for everybody, this is the demise of Mambo Sauce. This story has never been told. So we went on. So we were about to go on tour. We got a week before we about to go on tour. And two members of the band don't want to go on tour. You know what I'm saying? They basically want to leave the band. You know, and my heart is like,
why didn't they want to go on tour?
Because I mean, you know, that's just not what they wanted. And I think that they were like, you know, one thing, like I was saying before, you got grown people. You know what I'm saying? You got grown people that got families, that have obligations, that have, you know, all of these, that have children, you know, and it's like, yo, I'm about to go on tour for how many months and get how much money, and I got to quit my job and, you know, all of this and all of that. Like, nah, I'm good, you know, so they left the band. And so we got a week before we got a tour. We got two new people. They joined the band, you know, they fit in, and we go on tour. We have a drummer that's from Baltimore, a drummer and a keyboard player. And both of them are from Baltimore. Now, we're a go-go band, and you got a drummer from Baltimore. And so we're out on tour, and we killing it, you know, but we sound like a rock band, you know, but we're killing it. Like he's getting it enough where you know it's go-go. But when you come from that, you know that it's missing a little something. So while we out on tour, you know, like me and Pep got into it. Like Pep wanted to quit the band while we was on tour because Pep, he was like, nah, man, you know, I need my go-go. I'm the Congo player. I need to swing and all of that. So, you know, me and Pep ain't never got into like a joint where we was about to fight. You know,
that was a dynamic duo.
Yeah, and we on tour. We going at each other head. We about to, you know, literally fight. We beefing for like 4 to 5 days in. You know, and mind you, I gotta be with this dude. Like every day, I'm sleeping in the fucking bus with him. You know, all of this. You know, and so. And then also when you go on tour, like that's a whole different world. Tour is a whole different world. It is not like doing shows here.
Right.
Touring is.
We'll break that down because again, that's part of the show. So so explain the difference between local go-go shows and tour.
All right, so local go-go shows, you get to go. You know, the sound man brings your sound. They set it all up. You know, you come in, you do sound check. You know, right before you go on, you play. You know, after you play, I guess you get your bread and then you leave. You know what I'm saying? And you go home. Touring is completely different. First of all, we're at the starting point, so we don't have any roadies. We are the roadies. You know, we're touring in an RV that sleeps 9 people. You know, so we got a certain space. You know that we're confined to. We have a trailer on the back that we have to navigate, you know, through different terrains. I'm talking like crazy terrains that you have to navigate.
Who's paying for the RV and the trailer?
So that was a part of that was a part of the deal. So we paid for the show and they took care of the transportation.
Okay, that's uncommon, but yeah, I vaguely remember that being discussed at one point. So yeah.
Yeah, so that was the extra joint. So they took care of the transportation, and then they paid us for the show. But like you said, the amount wasn't nothing you can live off of like that. But I will say this: Mambo Sauce killed every city. If anyone ever tells you that Go-Go can't make it, and man, we had the House of Blues in 6 different states rocking. I'm talking about the House of Blues in California on whatever drive that is. Like, yo, that was the most.
It's not there anymore, but it was on Sunset. Yeah.
That was the most. Like that show right there was one of the most rocking shows that we had. We've played in so many venues where the response is the same. It's worse than you know. It's like Go-Go Live. You know how you see, or you know these joints where you see your video and you see backyard and you see a sea of people and everybody is hyped. Every show was like that. Every single show. And we were we were direct support, which means that we came on right before Soja. And Soja, when we would go to these different markets, they would also get opening bands to open up, but we would go on right before them. And I think we had maybe like
that's what they call first support, which means you're like right under the headline.
Yeah. Right. So the term that they used during that time was direct support.
Yeah.
So we had like 45 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Man, that was the most amazing thing that I've ever experienced. But that's the best part.
Let's stay on the best part for a second. I want to know what was the ethnicity of the majority of the audience at these shows? Did they look like me, or did they look like you?
Everybody, almost everybody, 98% of the people look like you. 98%.
And the reason I bring that up is because I think that, like I've publicly said sometimes, that I think that traditional go-go outside of DC has a bigger home with white people than black people. And people misunderstand that I'm saying that we should change something about go-go, or we should like make go-go for white people. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. And Mambo Sauce was never made to be for white people at all. It was just made to be packaged go-go. But what I'm saying is based upon our shared experience with, I didn't go on the tour, obviously, but obviously we did a lot of shows before that. And the way that white people react, I remember Hug from Northeast Groovers came to see us play at State Theater with Soja, and he was like fucking amazed. He was like, yo, this shit is it. Well, plus he likes white girls anyway, so that's beside the point. But anyway, but my point is that I'm not saying that I'm not suggesting to sell out or to culturally appropriate or make a white go-go band or I'm not saying any of that shit. But what I'm saying is that go-go as it is now, outside of DC, will have a significantly better reception with white audiences in other markets than it does with black audiences. Do you agree with that or no?
Yes, and I'll explain to you why. Right, so our people approach, and for good reason, we approach certain things with apprehension. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we are, I would say on edge, or we are constantly. Well, let me say it from the other angle. White people are free.
We already know we can't dance, so we ain't got shit to be embarrassed about.
White people are completely free.
I'm not dancing.
And that's not, of course, that's a sad thing for black people. But white people are completely free, meaning that they come to a place and they have no cares in the world. They care not about who's looking at them look crazy dancing. They care not about their outfits. You know what I'm saying? They don't care about, the next man that's looking at them crazy. They don't care about somebody stepping on their shoes, or, they're not on guard at all. So if you come and you strike a chord with anything that they like, they're going to go off. They're going to go crazy. And this is one of the things that I always amazed me, right? And I wish it wasn't like this, but I mean, like I said, I'm quite sure it goes back to slavery and a whole bunch of stuff, right? If you look at black artists and you look at white artists, black artists, in order for them to be multimillionaires, they have to have 3 to 4 different hustles. You know what I'm saying? They come out with an album, and then next thing you know, they got a liquor brand. Next thing you know, they got a clothing line. You know what I'm saying? They come out with 3 to 4 different types, right? The type of income streams. If you look at the fucking rock and roll dudes, you know what I'm saying? The fucking Rolling Stones and all that. The only thing that they really focused on was music and merchandise.
Well, I don't know that that's 100% true. I agree with you to a certain extent that black artists have more public facing businesses, but I just heard something on it was on a Clubhouse room the other day where they were talking about how these major these major companies are buying up all this catalog, all these publishing catalogs and recording catalogs. And I don't remember who it was. I think it was one of the guys from Queen or something like that. Yeah. And somebody asked him the guy was telling the service, somebody asked him on, it wasn't Freddie Mercury, but maybe Brian Mays or something, asked him a question about, well, you sold your publishing, for $1 million in 1987. Do you regret it? Because now it probably could have been, for 20 million. And he was like, no, I don't regret it, because as soon as I got it, I went across the street and I bought a building for $500,000, and now it's worth $50 million. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't say that white artists only focus on the music. I just think that they do less public facing stuff.
Yeah, but I'm talking about collectively, because I'm quite sure that, like, the Puffies and everything, they own the same, like they own buildings, they own all of that. But I'm talking about as a collective, as an artist, to get a certain amount of millions, Black people do, different things. It's like we got to be, like, once they say 3 to 4 times better or whatever,
absolutely.
And where white people, the white crowd is so loyal to who they mess with. Like, you'll have a white girl go to Columbus, Ohio to see a show, and then she'll follow the bus to Cleveland, Ohio, and then follow the bus, even further, and she's paying the ticket every single time. Yep. And then you'll put out a merchandise and she'll buy up the merch, and then you'll introduce another color at the next show and she'll buy that too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So speak on that a little bit, because somebody did ask a question. Whirlpool asked, "Did you have merch?" And I know you did, and it was great merch. And so, how did that work out for you?
That worked out great. It compensated for the low amount of the low amount of money that we were getting. Mm-hmm. The merchandise definitely helped us out with getting extra money. I mean, we probably got more money off of merch than we got from the show. And then when going to see with Soja, like, they getting bread off their merch. You know what I'm saying? You get bread off their merch so much that in certain locations they get more merch delivered. Because they know in like 3 to 4 shows I'm gonna sell out, so they get more merch delivered to them. Yeah. So the merch game is crazy when you out on tour. But the Ilza tour though, which I didn't go to, or you want me like?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So when I went on tour with Mambo Sauce,
you took a deep ass breath. This must be heavy.
No, because I mean it's similar to what you were saying, right? Mm-hmm. About all of the things that you were doing. So when you go on tour, like, first of all, we're the supporting act. So there's certain things that we don't have access to. There's certain things that we're treated like we're not the stars. So if they only have one dressing room, then we don't have a dressing room. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If Soja decides that they want to do a sound check for an hour, you know what I'm saying, and scratch out time, then that's what's going to happen, because the people are coming to see them.
Right.
Mind you, we have to get to the venue super early. We have to load out our stuff ourselves, meaning that we got to take all of the stuff out of the trailer. We got to take it, in the venue. They have road hands, or I forgot hands.
Stage hands, yeah.
Stage hands that help you out, but you still are doing a considerable amount of the work. And then you got to set up your merch table. You got to wait around. You got to hurry up and wait, because you have to do your sound check at your time. And for real, like I said, you can get scratched and don't even do your sound check, but that is how it is.
I think that's the reason why Chris quit, because he didn't want to go to early sound check. Because I remember he would bitch about that shit all the time.
He hate all of that. So yeah, and then the food is like minimal. You don't have many options. And then like so if you're touring with a major artist and you're direct support or any support, you have to make accommodations for them, meaning that you're not going to be able to play on their drums, or if you have a backdrop, it's not going up. It don't matter how professional you're trying to be, you're not the headline, so you can't put your banner up because you're trying to upstage the main person, and that's not what's going to happen. They're going to set up all of their equipment on the stage. You're going to have to find a way to put your equipment on the remaining portions of the stage.
Yep.
And they're just going to cover their equipment up with black with black sheets.
Black car, yeah, black.
So you have a limited amount of space to do what you want to do and all of that. And then after the show, there's no, oh yeah, let me wait, to put this stuff in the trailer. No, because right after the show, we clearing this whole thing out. So you have to take your stuff to your trailer and pack it up immediately following the show. And you're all sweaty. You know what I'm saying? You just got finished playing 45 minutes. You're hot, you're sweaty, and you got to go and help and push this stuff out. Now, mind you, you also got to go to the merch table because you got to get people to come over to the merch table and you talk to them or whatever so they can buy your merch. And then, like me, I was on Soja's song, so we couldn't leave to go to the next venue. I had to stay around in order to do the song with them and then get on my bus because I couldn't get on their bus because their bus is for them. You know what I'm saying? So we got to wait around to the whole end of the show before we can move on to the next venue. Then you drive through the night and you get to the next venue and you do the same shit all over again. It's not like you get to explore the city like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you have a whole bunch of downtime, but the downtime is just you at the venue waiting on your turn to either sound check, to either perform, or to load your shit out, and to stay there for merch. Like that's your day. Right. And it's just repetitive over and over. And then you get exhausted. You get burnt out. And mind you, you're in a small space with, some people that but you haven't lived with them before. You know what I'm saying? So now you are living, you're in the same quarters and you get to see the bad habits that they have, the things that will trigger you, and piss you off. They get to see the bad habits that you had, that you got. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there are going to be some disagreements. There's going to be some uncomfortable nights, like you're going to have to drive through blizzards. Like we drove through a blizzard on a mountain. And when we got to a checkpoint, they wouldn't let us go past unless we put chains on our tires. Like that was the requirement in order for you to go any further. So we didn't have chains because we didn't know. So we had to drive 30 miles down the hill that we just came up to get chains in order to go back up. This is in the middle of the night.
Like Colorado, Montana, somewhere?
Yeah. This was going into Seattle. So whatever places before then.
So but like Idaho. Well, depending on which way you went,
yeah. So I mean, like that was the tour with Mambo Sauce, and that was kind of like that was crucial. It was fun though, and we killed every show. Everybody knew about us. We were definitely on our way. We built ourselves up in these different markets. We got home, and these different markets was calling us and everything. But then we still had to deal with the issue of, the new members that we had and certain things that happened on tour. We had to talk about it, and so we came to a conclusion that we wanted to move on in a separate way. And to be honest with you, it was more so me. It was a decision that I kind of championed because I felt comfortable with other people. You know what I'm saying? And so I wanted the other people like back. And so I kind of, I got the other people back, but it was never the same. And so opportunities just stopped like coming, especially like I said, when you're dealing with a manager that is plug and play. When he calls you and asks you, yo, you just came on this 29 city tour, and now he wants you to do a weekend tour, and you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? He's like, what? What do you mean you can't do it? You just came off of a 29 city tour. How can you not do it? Or, this and that. Like, yo, what you mean? You can't, this isn't an opportunity. And this came from, your buzz. Are you just going to not, follow your buzz? And so, after a while, it was like, like it was just opportunities just stopped presenting themselves. And so that led to Mambo Sauce not, we just slowly started fading away. It's still my baby. I still plan on doing something with it. You know what I'm saying? And if others want to join, then I'm cool with that too. But Mambo Sauce just started fading, and we tried to get him back. Like we still got some dope songs. We wrote a rack of songs that we never released that are bangers, that will still like hit to this day. But the band itself just started like fading away. So when the band started fading away, during this time, I was on a couple of like Soja's albums. I've been on probably 4 of their albums. And then and then I'm on like a remix that they done. So I'm probably on like 5 or 6 songs of theirs. So, the kind of energy that I brought to their stage when we were on tour was like, it was just different. And you can see that I brought a lot of energy. So they came to me and was like, yo, we want you to go on tour with us. So I just went on tour with them, and I did like maybe 5 to 6 songs a night with them, and that was different because I get all of the special treatment now. I don't have to, like, it was totally different than Mambo Sauce. I sleep through the night and I wake up at another venue. You know what I'm saying? I get the good food. I wake up and I get my choice of cereal or bananas or whatever, and then the dinner, I get what they eat, and they got like chefs and all of that type of stuff. And I just get the treatment that they get, and I don't have to do any work.
Can I dig into that a little bit, because I think it's important for people to know. Now, granted, I don't know exactly how all of them grew up, but I would venture to say that most of them grew up in a much more privileged situation than most of the people in Gogo. So let's start with that as a baseline. However, they were already, pretty established when we started playing with them. However, they weren't what they are now. You know what I'm saying? They were still playing headline and jam a job, which is like 250, 300 cap club. They weren't selling out stadiums or anything like that. However, I remember asking, I think it was Bird, like, how do y'all, or it might have been Jake, I can't remember, one of the guys in the band, how do y'all do this? Because I can't get my band to play this much because everybody's got a job. Black works at Verizon, and Yendi's doing this, and Kyrie's driving the truck, and like I can't get them to do it. And he's like, well, we all just took jobs that are like, we wait tables and we do shit that is flexible. It's not like a career job, because we know this is what we want to do. And so we set the rest of our life up so that we can do this, you know what I'm saying? And understand that it's a sacrifice, you know what I mean? And one of the things that, and this is not pointing the finger at anybody, because like you said, everybody's going to do what they need to do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously I was a lot more upset about this when it was happening, because I was trying to pull something off, and your Verizon schedule, it wasn't really your schedule that much, it was more other people's, but was conflicting with the bigger vision. You know what I'm saying? But for someone who is an aspiring artist, or is an aspiring, because I remember when, like, we were doing the Tabby Benet thing, which we didn't really talk about, but we were Tabby Benet's band for a while as we were coming up, and I remember having a conversation with him and having him tell me, he's like, yo, you can't do this for real if you have a job. Like, it's just impossible. Like, it takes too much time. There's too much to do. You know what I'm saying? And so my question to you is, knowing both sides of that coin, if you were to be advising a younger artist or a band or something like that, because, there's a lot of misinformation about how the greater music industry works in go-go circles, a lot of which I feel like contributed to the demise of Mambo Sauce. So we've been intimately involved with those things. And so what I'm trying to do is like get some of the real out to people so that they know and understand the expectation, and aren't going into it with their eyes huge thinking, oh, we go on tour. That means because I've heard that a million times. Oh, y'all going on tour. Y'all racking up. Y'all making money. And it's not really how it is at first. You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about Soja and how when you started performing with them, you got all of the perks, but they didn't start with those perks. Right. They started like y'all started, you know what I'm saying? Like we started having to fucking put the drums in front of their drums and, you know what I'm saying? That kind of shit. So do you can you speak to anything that you noticed from them just in terms of their demeanor or their practices, you know, in like that could inform someone who's trying to do something more with go-go to be like, this is how it really, this is what you really need to do to get on a bigger stage, because it doesn't just happen because you're a great rapper or you're a good singer. It happens because you put in the work to get to that point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing is the information, and this is probably great that you're doing this, and I think it's a lot of information that is passed on to like rappers, but for a go-go band or a band in general, especially bands in DC, this information isn't necessarily given. I think one of the benefits, like you said, is the privilege that they had. Like,
for sure, 100%.
They definitely had like families that supported them. None of them had to really go out here and get jobs to quote unquote live. You know what I'm saying? Like they got jobs to eat food, but and get clothes and stuff. But none of them was like starving, and none of them had to get jobs to take care of their family and stuff like that. But one thing that they were intentional about was just the process. They were intentional about doing the process from day one, and so that's the benefit of them, being in, I guess, this situation or being in this quote unquote privilege. I don't necessarily want to keep using it, but they had, like, for instance, I know the story. I don't want to mess it up, but one of their parents gave them like the basement to practice. And this was like in high school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like in high school, she's like, their parents is like, look, here, y'all can practice in this basement. They need equipment. What they're working for equipment. That's the only thing they're working for.
Right.
They're not working for nothing else. And so,
you gotta pay $50 to $75 for a rehearsal studio every time they want to rehearse.
Right. And if they did have to pay it, like they can handle it because their parents is taking care of everything else. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So and then they don't have kids. You know what I'm saying? They don't have latch-ons. They don't have, like, it's just a lot of things that they were privileged to have. And so in the beginning, they said, this is what we're going to do. And everybody stayed with that plan. Mambo Sauce or other bands don't necessarily start like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's take them out of the equation for a minute, because I was just using them as an example because you are intimately, like familiar with more of their story. But, there's tons of rappers and R&B singers who don't come from privilege, who still are able to push through challenges and make something out of themselves in the world that I think that, like, I feel like I mean, there's a multitude of issues with musicians doing that, but
let me start right there. I got you. So let's take the privilege out of it, because regardless of privilege or whatever, you still got to bust your ass. Period. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And Soja bust their ass to get where they at. So let's just take the whole privilege out of it. They had a plan, and they stuck to the plan. They started the plan early. Their plan was, listen, we are going to take the jobs that we can take so that we can be accessible for any opportunity that comes our way. We're not going to, go out here and live reckless to where we have to, stay here. Like, everybody strap up. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, bust off with no girls, because if you have a kid, you know what I'm saying, there's a chance that you never be part of this dream, and we're just going to get someone else, And so, everybody, let's just, and we hang together. So let's just, make music all day and fuck it. Okay. So they want us to do a show in New York. Okay. Let's pack everything in the van and, take our weed and just go on a bus trip to, New York. And it's not like a job to them, because they're friends. They all have this one common goal in mind. They all have no responsibilities besides making music, and they all, are just having fun. And so so it doesn't seem like work to them. They're just doing what they want. But you know, they're doing what is necessary. You know, they're making themselves accessible to every opportunity that is presented to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're making sure that, yo, if I want to do this full time, then I have to really commit to it before I become big. You know, before I become this major artist, I got to commit to it at the lowest level. And
That's super, super important what I think you just said, which is I feel like in the go-go community specifically, or more just the DC music community, people think that I'll commit to this and I'll sacrifice for this when it's worth it to me. But that's the opposite way that it works. You have to commit to it first before it becomes worth it to you. If you don't commit to it, it's never going to get there. You're just going to be a part-time musician for the rest of your life, which there's nothing wrong with. But if you say you want more, then you have to understand that it takes.
I mean, and that travels beyond, you know, that travels beyond just music. That's in life in general. You know, if you want to be, you know, a great husband, you have to commit to, you know, getting certain qualities before you become married. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be a great employee, you know, you have to learn certain things before someone hires you. You know, if you want to be it's relative to almost everything, you know. So if you want to be an artist, you have to commit at the lowest level, and you have to be willing to do everything that someone who's committed at a lower level would do. And if you don't, you have to understand that you probably gonna have to put in more work. So if you don't commit and you go out here and you smash and you have a child and you still want it, you got to understand that you're gonna have to work extra hard if you still want a relationship with your child, but you still want, you know, all of these opportunities to present itself. Like that's gonna be difficult. It can happen, but you're gonna have to give more effort.
For sure, for sure. All right. Well, you touched on being a great husband. So I think that's a perfect segue into your the extraordinary circumstances of your engagement and subsequent union. So why don't you walk us through, like, you know, through what was going on with Soja into that and how that happened.
All right, so I was torn with Soja. This is like, I think, my third tour. At this point, you know, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't with Mambo Sauce. I was with Soja, and I love Soja. But I definitely wish that I could experience it with Mambo Sauce, because those are the people that, you know, I really put in work with. And so by the third tour, everything came so mundane, so like just, you know, that I was burnt out. You know what I'm saying? And I just wasn't getting the enjoyment that I was getting from like the first tour, the first like two tours. It started happening probably around like the third time so the Mambo Sauce joint was great. The first one that I went out with him was amazing. You know what I'm saying? And then I think I went to two more after that. And by the third one, I was just like, you know, I'm not sure if this is for me. So one day I was on the bus and I'm like a family guy. You know, I love my family. And so one day I was on the bus, and this is when I was dating my now wife. And I prayed and I was like, God, you know, if this isn't for me, you know what I'm saying, then please take it from me. And I said, and if it is for me, I would love to do this with my family. You know, I would love to do this with my family. And Soja's my family, but I was just talking about, you know, my family in general. So, you know, I went home. When I went home, as soon as I went home, because we were living together, and I told her that when I came home, I wanted to practice celibacy. So while I was on tour, like I already knew that this was going to be my wife. However, I didn't propose to her yet. And we went on tour. We came back home in like November. I think we left in like June, July, August, October, November. We left in August. And so we came back home in November. And so I told her that at the beginning of the year, we may come back in December, but I told her at the beginning of the year, I wanted to practice celibacy. And so, you know, because during this time, all I was doing was talking to her on the phone, you know, and it was just, our connection was just so dope and so deeper than any relationship that I've ever had. So I knew that I was going to marry. I came back home and we started practicing celibacy. But I knew I was going to propose to her. I just didn't know when. And so,
what was the thought process behind that, if you don't mind me asking? Like, why did you want to do that?
because I was learning so much about, huh?
I've never done it before, so I don't know what the benefits are.
I was learning so much about her while I was on tour and we weren't physically touching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we came home, you know, I just wanted to do it so that I could experience what we were experiencing on the road. I wanted to experience it in person.
Gotcha.
And then during the time, my wife was like, she would run. Like we had different arguments on tour, you know, where she wouldn't call me or we wouldn't talk for like 2 to 3 days because she felt some kind of way. And so she would kind of like what I would say, she's a runner, you know, when anything got too complicated, she would just, you know, AWOL and just dip on you, get ghost.
Right.
So when I came home, I was like, well, this is another way to test, you know, our relationship because, you know, we're living together. I can't smash my way out of an argument. You know what I'm saying? Because you can be beefing with me, and then I could just, you know, do what I do, and then we back to regular, you know, but we still haven't solved the problem. So it's like, yo, let's just do this. And so when we practice celibacy, it made us talk more. It made us talk about, you know, our issues. It made me be more transparent. It made us reveal like exactly who we are because you really have no, you know, you have no motives. Like your motives, you're not trying to say something sweet because you think you're gonna get some ass. You know what I'm saying? So if you beefing, you're gonna let them know exactly what's on your mind. You know, you're not gonna sugarcoat it. So that's, you know, that was the idea behind it.
Makes sense. Patience, Chris.
Yeah.
My man Chris in the print shop. I'm just telling him to have patience. Anyway, go ahead.
So we started practicing celibacy, and then we started going to marriage counseling, or I think they call it pre-marriage counseling. I don't know what the title it was, but we started doing that. And mind you, I still haven't proposed to her yet. We just decided to get all of these tools so that when it did happen, because we were talking about getting married, but we just didn't do it. So during this time, I just started planning it. And I was like, yo, I'm doing all of this. Like, I know I'm a marrier. What's the point of me waiting? What's the point of me proposing and then waiting 2 to 3 months? Like, let me just get this all out the way on the same day. Plus, my wife didn't want a wedding. She didn't want a big wedding. All she wanted, she was cool with the justice of peace. But I wanted more for her than that. You know, so I was like, yo, she deserves this, but she didn't want to plan it. My wife would have had anxiety. She would have been lunching, you know what I'm saying? She would have been more than a bridezilla. So I was like, let me take this off of her and, you know what I'm saying, just create a moment. And so, you know, that's what I did with help from her friends, from my friends, my family, you know, everybody joined in on it, you know? And like the whole Forever Duncan thing, it wasn't like my intentions wasn't, because I remember one time I told this story and you put you knew what you was doing, Bama, and you put the comment somewhere. But honestly, when it first happened, like my intentions wasn't for it to go viral. So because it was a surprise, I told everybody who I invited, I said, look, at the beginning of the day, I'm going to send out an email to let y'all know that I have her phone. So she can't get on social media. I want everybody to tag whatever they're doing, like throughout that day, tag Forever Duncan, so that when the wedding is over, she can go to the hashtag and see all of, you know, everybody getting prepared and all of that. That was all that it was for. It wasn't for anyone else. It wasn't for them to share or whatever. But I think, you know, people started hashtagging Forever Duncan, and then people started looking into it. And then, you know, and it was just, I think it was suspenseful because it was supposed to be outside. So I proposed and it was supposed to be outside, but it was raining cats and dogs that day. So I had to do a venue change. So I posted on social media, look, if you have, you know, if you're invited, venue change, look at your email. You know what I'm saying? So all of this was playing out like a movie. So by the time we got to the wedding, you know, it was thousands of people already, you know, knowing what was going down. And then after the wedding, like immediately following the wedding, I had probably like, I don't know, 4,000, 6,000 followers or something. You know, like looking at my Instagram, it was like a ticker. You know, like it was no way that I could read any comment. It was just doing that all day for like 2 days. You know, I went from I say 4 to 6,000 to like I want to say 26,000, 25,000. My wife went from like 9, 10,000 to like 60,000. You know what I'm saying? And then the next morning we didn't know how real it was. And the next morning we got a call from uh what's that show? The View. Then we got a call from Good Morning America. Then we got and we had breakfast. You know, we didn't know it was this big. Then the next and it just the opportunities just started just coming in and coming in. Yeah, so you know, since then we've been blessed. It's birthed a lot of, you know, a great thing about it is that I've married someone who's artistic, you know, so you know, like the crazy ideas that I have, she be all with, you know. So she forced me to write a book. I didn't want to write a book. I came in the house and she said she was in there with our brand manager, and she said, "Yo, you gonna write a book?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." She said, "Yes, you are, and it gotta be 20,000 pages. And what do you want the cover to be?" I said,
20,000 pages.
No, I mean, my bad, 20,000 words. It has to be 20,000.
I was like, good night. That's a Bible.
It has to be 20,000 words. I said, I'm not writing no book. She said, "Yes, you are. And what do you want the title to be?" I said, "I don't know." Blah, blah, blah. So she pressed me out. I came up with a name or whatever. I went to take a shower. I came back out and they had the book cover already posted on social media. So she
put the fire under your ass and make it. Yeah.
So she forced me to write a book, but I got her back. You know what I'm saying? I wrote a play, and we co-wrote the play together. But I came in the house and told her that she was going to be acting in the stage play, and she wasn't with it. But you know, I forced her, and then we wrote a stage play, man, and we both acted in it. I mean, there's so many things that you know we do. Podcasts. It's just beautiful to have somebody that is artistic, you know, that's beside you, and don't think that you know your ideas are fucking crazy. They like, oh yeah, let's do it, let's go. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing, man. That's a beautiful thing.
That's what's up, man. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And congratulations. Well, I've been congratulated. How many years is it for you?
It's just in April. It'll be 9 years of marriage and 15 years together.
That's
16 years together. Yeah.
Yeah, don't get that number wrong. You know she watched.
You know what's funny? I'm the one that remembers. She's the one that always forgets. I'm the one that remembers the shit all the time.
But yeah, but
you know what's funny? How I remember the year that we started dating is because the first time I went to her house, which was like really like sort of our first, because we were friends in high school.
Yeah, I know this.
She found, so then she found me later or whatever. And so it wasn't really a date, but it was like I was trying out, and like she just thought I was a friend coming over. But I brought her the CD Damn Joe and Go and made her listen to it. And I've been making her listen to music that she doesn't want to listen to for 15 years now. So
that's funny.
Yeah, that's how I remember. That's how I remember the years, because it was 2005 when we did Damn Joe. I remember. I never forget that shit.
Yeah, man, that's dope, man. That's dope. So yeah, man, marriage is beautiful. I'm still making music. I wrote a song called Forever Loving. I did a couple of songs. I released one called BLM Plaza. I released that I think in like July, and then I released Forever Loving. I released that in October because our anniversary was October. So I surprised my wife with this song. It's a dedication to her, but it's also, you know, something for every person that's married. I wanted to create a cool song for married people to sing. So yeah, and that's doing well. And I have a remix that's coming out that is, you know, a joint. Hey, I think it's mind blowing. I think it's super dope. I can't wait for people to hear it. I really don't even want to get y'all like, you know, no inclination of what kind of song it is, but it's a DC song. Put it that way.
Black.
Yes.
You're on a show called Gogotalx.
You got to
put on by a joint called Gogotalx. I'm gonna guess people probably figured it out. Like
yeah. Yeah, so this is a go-go remix, man, and yeah, it goes. So I plan on releasing it. So I've been doing so much, man, that it's been hard to get my ducks in a row. I wanted to release it for Valentine's Day, but I'm not sure if I have time to do that. But we will see. Um, and another thing that I've been blessed with that I just want to, put in right now is that I started a nonprofit organization called Black Men Founders. And what we do is we create access to capital for Black men founders. So any Black man, that you have to be 51% owned by a Black man. And if you have a business and you trying to get some money, we have a pitch competition. If you win, you get $10,000.
Founders or ventures? Because I wrote in ventures earlier.
It's Black Men Ventures. It's with an S. Yeah.
Okay. You said founders, so I just wanted to make sure I had it right. All right. So blackmenventures.org.
Yeah, we got a 10K pitch competition. We're also building an ecosystem to support entrepreneurs at any level. So this is amazing. Our sister company, which is Black Girl Ventures, they're in Forbes. They're in like everything out here. They just got like a $500,000 check from Nike, Visa, Super Bowl. Like they tied in with all of that. So yeah, they're going to definitely help us do this for Black men. So yeah,
man, that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Dope. Where do people go if they want to hear the music?
You can go to alfredduncanmusic.com. Yeah, and
I have it ready to go right there. We're on a like you said, right?
Yeah. But yeah, man. So, but I want to thank you, man. I want to thank you for just allowing this opportunity.
Coming on, man. Appreciate it.
This is a breath of fresh air for me. I get to walk here with my chest kind of deflated a little. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a conversation that we never had, and I felt like it needed to be had. I wasn't stubborn enough to, I'm not gonna call you and have this conversation, and you probably felt the same kind of way, maybe, or just ain't even think about it.
Nah, I got to give you a little more credit than that. You have called me a couple of times to sort of like semi make amends, which I appreciate. But yeah, we definitely got a little bit deeper today, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. And yeah, so yeah, we need to talk as well. We need to talk about we'll talk offline. But
all right, sounds good. Sounds good, man. Well, everybody go check out alfredduncanmusic.com. So when do you think the single is going to be out again?
I want to say on Valentine's Day. I'll be trying to stick to dates, you know what I'm saying? Like dates that matter.
Right.
But, if it don't make it out, then it's going to definitely be in February, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, just make sure you send it to me. We'll get it up on the blog. So if you have a business that is 51% or more owned by a Black man, join or visit blackmenventures.org for the $10,000 pitch competition.
Right. Applications are open until the end of February. We're closing applications then. So please join in. The pitch competition happens on April the 16th. So please put in your application, man. It's going to be dope.
That's dope. That's super dope, man. Well, I meant to ask you, why did you get rid of the Black Boot and just go to the Alfred Duncan? Because I keep about to call you Black, and then I'm like, what am I supposed to say? Alfred now? I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
You know what? I kind of regret this too. I remember when I went out with Soja and I was trying to rebrand myself because, I was just trying to rebrand myself in general. Mm-hmm. And I should have just, so,
Alfred the MC first, right? And then.
Yeah. And so I should have just stayed with Black Boo then, but I went to Alfred the MC because I was just trying to rebrand myself. Mm-hmm. And then after being Alfred the MC for a while, it just didn't sit comfortable with me. And then now that I'm getting, now that I'm older, I'm more comfortable. I was never comfortable with my name, to be honest with you. I thought my name was corny, but now I get older, like I love my name. And so I just decided to just go with my real name, Alfred Duncan.
All I'm saying is my real name is William Allen Johns III. Alfred Duncan, and we definitely sound like we're fucking princes some shit like earls, like we should be dukes or something, like Dukes of France or something.
We sound like we about to get some money. That's what we sound
like. You look like you already got some money, bro. I know that hat costs a nice little. My shit costs like $8 off Amazon, so
it don't matter. It don't matter how much you're a white person in every sense of the word. It don't matter how much money you get, Malachi. You still gonna buy those hats.
This is true. This is true because they're the only ones that fit me right. I try to wear hats like that, and I look retarded, so I can't do it. Like these are the only ones that look good on me. Everything else makes me look stupid. I can't wear fitteds or nothing. All that shit looks dumb. So Ricky Angles wants to know you're not performing under the name Black Boo anymore, or you might be bringing it back. Sounds like.
I mean, Black Boo is me. Alfred Duncan is me. Alfred the MC, nah, not so much. But Alfred Duncan and Black Boo, I'll always be Black Boo. I was Boo before I was anything. Like everybody used to call me Boo when I was young. And then, so how Black Boo came about is that my family called me Boo when I was young. Like that's what I knew. When I was in college, when I played basketball, they used to announce Boo Duncan. Like my teachers in college used to call me Boo, everything. Then when I got out of college, people started calling their significant others Boo. And so people got uncomfortable with calling me Boo. So what happened is somebody be like, Boo, and then they'd be like, you mean Black Boo? And then this how it happened.
Hold on. This is an important question. Was there a white Boo? Like how
there were
like a brown skin Boo or like what? Like,
there were other Boos, but I was the one that was really black. You know what I'm saying? There was a light skin Boo. There was a brown Boo, but I was Black Boo. So people they cut off the Boo.
Yellow Boo. I need to know the answer to these.
Yellow Boos. It was yellow Boos. Yellow Boo. And it was white Boos too. It was white Boos. And so they just started calling me Black. And so, and then mind you, I was still into the rapping and the singing. So I thought it was dope. Black was going to be the rap thing, and then Boo was going to be the singing thing. So I just put them together. Yeah.
Makes sense. That's what's up. Well, thanks for clearing that up, man. And we'll talk afterwards. Thanks again. I don't think you quite hit Kyrie's time. Kyrie's joint was 3 hours. We're just like 10 minutes short the 3 hours, but great conversation. Thank you. I do have to deflate your sales a little bit more just to let you know that Kyrie did actually already tell the story about Charlie and Salem and all that, but it was good to get the other side of it.
He even said the names, huh?
He said the names. Yeah,
I'm gonna go watch that.
Yeah, you gotta go watch it. Yeah. So, but thanks again, man. I appreciate it. It was great and cathartic, and I didn't even cry. Like, you know what I'm saying? I thought I was going to, but I appreciate it.
You cry?
I did. Like, I'm emotional about this shit, man. For real, that was a pivotal time in my life. No bullshit. Like, it really.
Let me say this before we get off the phone, dog. I love you. I've always loved you. I've always considered you a mastermind at what you do. To this day, when people come to me and ask me about, your business savvy, I definitely, big you up. I will never say anything bad about you on the business level. I will tell them that, Malachi has he has a way that he's going to speak that, it's not for everybody, but I'll tell you this, he knows what the hell he's talking about. Because if he don't know what he's talking about, then he wouldn't say it. You know what I'm saying? So, those days that we spent, like the first days, I remember you would come over my sister's house and like all of that. I used to spend countless hours with you, dog. I learned a lot. And I respect you, man. So, I'm glad that we had this conversation, man.
Nah, I appreciate it, man. But just to clear the air and for the record, CPT is not a scientific.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's not for you. You wouldn't know about it. You wouldn't know.
Fair enough. We'll leave it at that. All right, man, I appreciate you, bro. Thanks again for coming on. Everybody, make sure you join next week. I got Dre all day, the man responsible for killing Gogo. To DC, an honor he shares with Tabby Benet and Wale. It's all their fault, and I guess you sort of take some blame for it too, because you weren't like a go-go rapper, but so you're lumped in with that. On the 24th, we have rescheduled my good friend T-Bone from the legendary Trouble Funk. I had to reschedule him because some stupid fucking rednecks stormed the Capitol on the day when he was supposed to be on air. And then on March 3rd, we got my man Tony T, formerly of TCB and now of Rare Essence. So Alfred Black Boo Duncan, the MC.
Oh, man.
Thanks again, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one, bro.
You too, bro.
All right, man.